ladies and germs, a different way of thinking. Do you understand what I'm saying? A different way. Let me give you a couple of ideas here. Let me give you a couple of things to note. Of specific ideas. Listen carefully. I live in a different world than you do. I probably do. And I love that part. It's the way I've always been, and I'm not going to change. And I think you're probably the same. The first thing is I do not believe headlines. I do not believe. When you see a headline, that means this news, for the most part, unless it's axiomatic, an accident on 3rd Avenue, whatever. Some luminary dies. If it's a story about a situation that's hard to understand, war, what have you, then I don't believe it. Then the headline becomes that which is approved for the particular narrow cast viewpoint of that station, of that platform, of that position, of that government perspective, whatever. You see, when you listen to radio stations, music, listen to country, urban, used to have it, AOR or CHR or AC, it was the format. Adult contemporary hit radio. What does it mean? I have no idea. Oldies, classic rock. What's the difference? I have no idea. I don't know. What does that become old? Why is it Mozart old? No, it's classical. Is it always old? Well, I don't know. And then we get into this stuff. But the point is, when you tune into something called today's country classics, today's urban classics, today's hip hop, you know what you're getting. You don't want to get in and say, I don't know what this is. One day it's Brian Auger, then it's, Tiny Tim. Who knows? That's the way news works. They want to give you a perspective ahead of time so that you go there knowing that your worldview, your ideas will all be affirmed. You understand what I'm saying? They will be affirmed. You got it? They will be affirmed. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. There is no such thing as the truth. There's no such thing as absolute. There's my version of the way I see it. If President Trump does something, and I like President Trump, and I have a network, a platform, a podcast, a YouTube channel that is MAGA, or whatever you want to call it, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that MAGA is maintained, that MAGA is not in any way violated. So what I want you to understand that. Now, I don't care about that. You see, I will tell you things that are MAGA. I hate that word. Or some people say MAGA. But I will also tell you things that I disagree with MAGA about. I will also throw in something where I say, hey, did you see this thing about what appears to be a UFO? Isn't this interesting? Hey, did you see this about Antifa and Civil War? Did you hear this new story about conversion therapy? Hey, did you see that Hilaria Baldwin lost her Dancing with the Stars or whatever? Hey, did you see that Bill Belichick is exactly what's happening to Alec Baldwin? Hey, have you heard the stories? People are worried about Kamala Harris, who was out on the book tour, and apparently a lot of people have suspected maybe she's a little tipsy. Maybe she's got a problem. Hey, did you hear? You see where I'm going with this? See where I'm going with this? What is that? Well, I guess I like those subjects. Oh, yeah? But UFO? No. Did you hear this fellow they arrested who supposedly was responsible for the Palisades fire? Do you believe that? Do you remember the Palisades fire? Do you remember everything that happened regarding the fire? Do you remember that? Do you remember, do you recall what happened then? No, of course not. Why? Because the news you were watching was showing you what they were told. Well, it was a fire, and you got the Santa Ana winds or whatever it was, and hey, look at the fire coming in, and wow, hey, look at that. Boy, that's that underbrush. Nothing to see here. Wow, too bad, isn't it? Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Hey, look, James Woods, he almost lost his house. How about that? Damn. Anything else going on? No. Of course not. Why? What are you getting at? Now, I'm just wondering if there was anything more to that story. Like what? You know, the propitious nature of the fire based upon who you are. Is like, whoa, what? What are you saying? What are you getting at? What, huh? What are you getting at? What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting? What are you getting at? Marjorie Taylor Greene did this. She mentioned some questions people had about the fires. Remember that? I had them, you had them, but not if you watch conventional news, not if you watch cable news. You're not going to hear it. You're just not going to hear it. What if you never heard rap music ever? For some reason, I kept it from you. And you never heard it. Nothing. Never. And then one day, it slips out, I guess. And then all of a sudden, bang, you hear it for the first time. And you think to yourself, wait a minute, what's that? You don't know what that is? No, what is it? You're kidding me, right? That's rap. That's what? Rap. This is one of the most significant musical forms. Wait. Since when? Since when? I don't know, the 70s maybe? It's hard to say. Rap? You see what? This? And everybody knows this? Oh, yeah. Where have I been? I don't know. That's how so many people I know are. That's how so many people I know. That's how they are. That's how they are. They live like that. They live like that. They live in a world where they don't know anything. The other day I had something. It was the most incredible thing. And by the way, if I ever talk to you and I change the subject, that means I know you don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll just go to something else and you won't even know I've changed you won't even realize it. I'm that good. I've been practicing my whole life. So I walked to a friend of mine and I said, hey, did you hear about this? I'm not even going to mention the subject matter because it's just too complicated. And that's another thing too. I don't waste my time trying to teach people. There's nothing worse than having to teach people. Well, let me explain it. You see? And I couldn't believe what I was saying. This is the person who was supposedly renowned in this particular subject. And I said, hey, did you hear about this? You know, it's trending on X or Twitter. He go, huh? You never heard that, huh? No. I said, oh, how about those Yankees? Yeah, those Yankees. I'm telling you, doggone it. I thought, I'd judge his subject, and he sure is. They don't even realize I changed the subject. And I don't waste my time. I just don't waste my time. I can tell immediately if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I talked to somebody the other day about something that was very interesting. We were talking about the weather. I said, isn't it funny about the weather? Boy, the weather, it's the weather, I don't know what happened. And the question is, can weather be weaponized? Can it be manipulated? Do you think? And I said something to the effect of, well, you see, it's hard to say. You see, whether it has been alleged throughout the years that weather has, for example, been the subject of weaponization and control and manipulation. What? How about those Yankees? How about those? Yeah, those. And I just changed the subject. I'm not going to give you Operation Storm Fury and go through Operation Popeye and give you the history of geoengineering. I'm not going to do it. And I can tell immediately. I can tell it immediately. And I ask them, why are you going into these? Why are you going into these subjects? Why in the name of God are you going into these subjects? Why are you going into these subjects? Why are you discussing something where you know nothing about them? How? Why? Or people will say, oh, come on, stop it. That's my favorite. Stop it. I told you the other day, one of the most fascinating stories. Don't ask me why, but I thought it was interesting. It's about fecal transplantation. And it has saved lives. And there's people who have C. diff and people who've gone through just incredible. I mean, people who, nobody laughs, nobody thinks it's well, whenever you say diarrhea, they laugh at it. Unless and until you've been the subject of, or you've seen somebody with severe, I mean, people who have died from it, especially in third world countries, and C. diff and all these other lower GI, horrible problems. And there's a way of transplanting actual fecal matter, and it saved lives. What do you think the reaction was? Ooh, how about those Yankees? Yeah, those. And I just changed the subject. I realized, so they're immature, they don't know anything, and most of the people, 90% of the people I know, don't know anything, or they'll catch it maybe in a headline. They're on a news service or like a Facebook. Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see this? Every now and then somebody will try to tell me something to the effect of, hey, did you see the UFO? Some UFO encounter. Oh, really? Yes. Did you see the UFO encounter? I sure did. And then I start. And I'm saying to myself, now, how much do they know about this? Are they one of the people who are interested in it? Or people who think it's stupid or crazy or that it doesn't exist? Or some people who believe everything, and they're sometimes even more dangerous. So I asked the question, what do you think about that? Do you know anything about the history of it? Because the history of UFOs and UAPs and EBEs and Area 51, it is so rich. You could spend an entire weekend going through every aspect, every scintilla, every story that is involved in that subject matter. Believe me, it is so full. You have no idea. But people don't know. But they're way into this subject. And that leads us to Bill Belichick. I believe there may have been some discussion about that. What do you think the story about? And this is what I also do. I'll take a different take on it. What do you think the story of Bill Belichick is? With that girlfriend of his. What do you think the story is? What's the angle? What's the take? What is it? I'll tell you what it is. I'm not gonna wait because we always talk about men. Be a man. My beloved wife, during Lynn's Warrior Sister, we talk about trying to teach boys. Be a man. And to some people, being a man means doing push-ups, pull-ups, something along those lines. You know, that's always a big deal. They really love that. They love that push-up stuff. But every now and then you will see somebody who loses their mind, and they are what is called, it's a very terrible word, but it's short for, the word is whipped, and there's a prefix to it, or an adjective, which I will discuss in further detail. And that, he has terminal whipped. This is Lionel, and this is the other side of midnight. My friends, this is Lionel with you. Let me remind you, you've got to follow me on Twitter or X. I still call it Twitter. I still call them albums. At Lionel Media. Okay, you got it? Follow what I'm doing. You will not believe, I post stories, I post questions, you ain't going to hear anybody talk about it. Okay? Watch this. If I say this to you, do you understand it? The Podesta emails. Do you know what that is? If you don't, how about those Yankees? Right? Most people say, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Did you hear about Candace Owens lately? Huh? God, Aaron Judge is something, isn't he? I sure miss Steinbrenner. I just changed the subject. Because in a world, it's like there's this world called rap, and you have been kept from rap. Not you, but the world has been kept from rap forever. Now, let me talk about this Bill Belichick, and this is the most important. Men, I want you to understand something. Men and women in particular. And Bill Belichick is a very interesting case. I don't know. They're gonna get rid of him. He wants to get out of his contract. Okay, he is whipped. And I'm sorry, there's a word. I'm just gonna call it whipped. He is abused. He is in a certain cult. Have you ever seen a man who has lost his mind to a woman? A woman who goes in and controls him. A woman who is almost like a parasite. A woman who goes in and doesn't necessarily, how do I say this? Doesn't necessarily go in to affect this person, to change it, but they want to control them. Everything about this person. Everything. They want to control everything. They want to control who they are and what they think, and they want to take the man away from his family, or he starts changing the way he thinks. He doesn't look the same. He can't go out with his friends anymore, and people are wondering what's going on here. And they say, uh-oh. Everybody, every family has seen this. And I'm sure it happens with men. I'm sure it does. I know men do it as well. Power. But the ideal relationship is when you want to become chiral opposites. You want to be supplements to each other. You want to complement each other. You don't want to attack. You want to do everything in your power to. What am I trying to say? You want everything in your power to go in, and you want to have this person supplement your life. They have a family, wonderful. You obviously are going to change some things because you're in a relationship, but you never want somebody to say, oh, no, I don't want to ever get in the way of you and your family or your hobbies or your friends. But then again, you are not a bachelor anymore. Does this make any sense to you? Okay? Does this make any sense? Now, there are interventions that happen all the time. People who are drug addicts, people who are alcoholics, people who might be on pills or whatever it is. And then every now and then, somebody will walk in, and there used to be a great show on TV on A&E called Intervention. And I really liked it. It was called Intervention. And Intervention was the show, and it fascinated me. And then you had the interventionist, and the person would come in, and I heard they will say, hey, we're going to stop by here, and you walk in, and you see their faces like, why is everybody here in this room? Why is my mom and dad and my neighbor and my friends why is everybody in the room? What's going on? And they say, Hi, Tony. Hi. Have a seat. What is this? Just have a seat. We just want to tell you something. Now, I heard there was a comedian one time. He says, have you ever been to an intervention, or as I call it, a surprise party? So you walk in, and these people, and they have these notes that they say, thank you so much. Geraldine, would you have something to say to Tony? And you say, who the hell's Geraldine? I'm in the wrong intervention. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the next room. I'm sorry, pardon me. It's like going to the wrong funeral home. You ever see these? I went one time to a funeral in Brooklyn. It's like 9 funerals going on at the same time. I went to the John, I came back, I said, what is this? Where is he? Did they move him already? No, it's over there. Anyway, so you sit down and you say, Tony, we love you very much, and we want this best for you. And I'm not trying to joke on this, but that's what it is. All right? That's an intervention. And they do this for drugs, alcohol, pills, whatever it is. But the intervention they should have is, Tony, This woman you're dating is going to kill you. We've tried to keep quiet. Take everything that you said about somebody when they were drunk or on pills and rephrase it as, we don't recognize you anymore. Can't make sense. We don't see you. We worry. You're not the same. You're talking differently. You're dressing differently. You are alienated. We don't recognize you. It's that woman. That woman is going to kill you, Tony. And we love you, Tony. And she's going to kill you. You can't see it. She's so wrapped around whatever it is, and it's not what you think it is. This is evil, 30 past the hour. She's evil. She's a devil woman. It's a voodoo. Something has happened. You've lost your mind. We don't recognize you. You've got to leave her. Do I make myself clear? Oh my God. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, when you're older and you're Bill Belichick and you've got money and you're a little enfeebled, you know. I remember sometimes it was so funny when my parents, you know, they were, my father was great. I said, don't ever answer a phone call. Don't ever believe anybody who calls you on the phone and says, you know, we're from the bank. He said, oh, I know. He understood completely. I don't know who you are. I said, they never call you. I got it. He said, hey, somebody called looking for you. Who was it? I don't know. I hung up. I said, that was Dave. Doesn't matter. I don't talk to him. He's very, very good at it. He was very good about that. My mother, on the other hand, no, she'll talk to you. Hi, how are you? This is Miss Atwood. Hi, yes, I'm so-and-so. Is Tony there? No, he's not here. Do you know where he is? Well, Tony moved. Do you have Tony's number? I've got his number now, but I don't think I can give you that number. Well, it's very important that he called me. Well, could I have your number? Well, see, my number. And you hear my father say, what are you doing? I'm like, hang up. Now, some people do that. Some people are. But when you get older, you lose that. Except for my father, he became more and more paranoid. You lose that. You trust people. That's why you can never be in radio, because you can't trust people in radio. I kid. Those Yankees. Anyway, so when you get older, like Bill Belichick, you kind of feel like whatever. And a lot of guys too, and this is another thing too. Another intervention. The first intervention, when you're whipped, you could be a teenager, you could be 20, you could be 30, you can marry, whatever it is. The other one that men need to understand is where you feel like you've met some chickie who makes you feel young again. You know what I mean? You're tanning, you're going to the gym. My favorite is you're taking supplements. And not just supplements, you're taking, growth hormone and testosterone. It's like, what are you doing? You've never looked like this in your life. Yeah, I'm working out. Working out? What's going on here? Do you have a tumor? Why are you growing like this? I don't know. It's a woman, isn't it? Well, yeah, I'm out there. We're partying. I say, oh, no. Now, I'm not suggesting when you get old you should give in, but please act your age, for the love of God. But I've seen it like that, too. Why? Women. Women, to some men, is the worst drug. Heroin, or as my clients used to say, heroin, is the worst thing in the world. Some people can drive them crazy, especially when it's not all, but some can sense vulnerability. Some can sense, ooh. I'm a 19-year-old, and you're some 65-year-old guy, been married all his life. He's got a wife and kids. He says, you know what? You're such a sexy man. How do you look this good at 65? Hey, do you really think I'm sexy? Oh, yeah, I'm Rod Stewart now. And you've seen this. You've seen it. And she knows exactly what to say. It's so wonderful to be around somebody of such power. Wow. See? It works like a charm. Bill Belichick, I don't know what happened to him. This one came along. Everybody says, what are you doing? What are you doing? I suggest kidnap this man, Deprogram them. I don't want to hear about Scientology. Remember the Moonies years ago? Remember the Moonies that would sell roses? Did they have that here? In Florida, they were big. They were like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're selling roses on the corners. What are you doing? I'm a Moonie. Oh, okay. And I used to always say, well, it's not against the law. Remember the Moonies, Sun Myung Moon? They were at the New Yorker. Always smelled like kimchi. Remember the biggest wedding ever at the Garden? You know they're still together. A lot of those people are still together. People who are married, the Moonies, they just slap people together. You're married. Okay. They're still married. Well, you know what? It's not bad. Don't ever rule that out. I don't advocate it, but in any event. But the cults are sometimes romance and people who are predators. And just like we talk about predators and my wife and Lynn's Warriors and sexual predators, there are age and power predators. And they know exactly what to do. They are so good. They are so, and I don't mean Kardashians. Those are phonies. No. I'm talking about the real good ones. They know exactly what to do because they are there and they are bred and groomed not in the way we normally think of, but they are trained to go after and to nab people. They nab them and they are trained. And there were others who, years ago, remember Babe Paley, married to Bill Paley? Won't you please come home? She was one of the Mortimers. Or you got these daughters, and you are trained. You are going to go on. You're going to fetch and snatch a man, and you're going to be the wife, and you're going to go to the debutante ball, and you're going to be a hostess. And you're going to just be pretty and arm candy and whatever it is. And he's going to cheat on you. And that's the way it is. And that's the way we do it. Okay? So shut up. That's what you are. And by God, they went a-looking. And the man knew they were a-looking. And you figure, well, that's at the higher realm of society. Oh, no. It's here too. Then there are some women who are so evil, and I'm not being sexist, but they are so evil. They just want to go in and just mess. They want to, the word is, I think it's called F with your head. And they do this. They're predators. They just like it. They come in there and they wrap themselves around your finger. Oh, they got you coming and going. And sometimes and if they can reduce you to tears, that's the home run. I said, no, what? What do you want from me? Yes. Look at this big burly man crying like a simpering little child. I've won. That's Bill Belichick. You know who else is like that? Alec Baldwin. His wife, Hilaria, hilarious, who, by the way, I think she was done from that Dancing with the Stars or Dancing with... She's out. And she's all, as we say in West Tampa, empingado. She's all pissed off, all upset. It was whatever, because I don't know if she's nuts, but if she's acting crazy, if she's the greatest actress I've ever seen in my life. I'm a yoga star. I'm this. I got 12 kids. This guy's my age. He's born in 58. He's like August. I don't want 9 kids. I'm tired. I don't want 9 kids. I'm Alec Baldwin. Hunt for Red October, whatever it was. I was a star. Glengarry Glen Ross. Win the steak knives. I was somebody. Now what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just showing up with that stupid look on his face all the time. He's got that goofy look like, huh? Like he just woke up. They all kind of have that. You notice that? I think it's the eyes. Billy's got it, Stephen. Bless his heart. He's got that look. It's all confused. Like, huh? Like he just woke up. Alec, wake up. Did you hear that? Huh? What? There's a noise. I think they're breaking in. What? That's what he looks like. So he's got this Hilaria, who, by the way, this woman is so arrebatado, another West Tampa term for deep fried or crispy. This is when you're really whacked. She all of a sudden speaks Spanish. Hilaria, to me, I think that they made the cucumber. And he said, what the hell is this? Honey, why are you talking like that? Why are you talking like that? What? That accent. What are you, Charo? What's going on here? No, Alec, I'm from Barcelona. I'm from... You're not. You're from Boston. Hell, what are you doing? And all of a sudden, she went on TV. She said, I did the cucumber. And then they said, listen, and I said, dude, as the kids say, once you start with an accent, you're stuck with it. You just don't come out of it. It's not like the Mid-Atlantic accent. Sometimes people can do the soulful thing. Obama said, and I know many times. No, that's affectation. That's not an accent. Sometimes we'll kind of get into that, when you're home, your ethnicity, when you see your friends, you'll speak a patois in a way you don't speak at work. That's different. An accent? If all of a sudden Blaze starts talking with this Estonian accent, I'm thinking, this is normally a sign of either a stroke or some type of an ischemic attack. Anyway, so Alec Baldwin's got 9 kids, or whatever it is. I don't know why. He's got the one daughter he never seen. Remember he called her the little pig? Remember that? You little pig! And she recorded it and ratted him out? I thought that was low. So anyway, he's got the Belichick disease. He lost his soul. He needs an intervention. Alec, what? I don't even like you. He blocked me from Twitter. What chicken is that all about? Blocked me? I don't talk to you. Anyway, these people. But I kind of feel sorry for him. This guy is so whipped. It's so Belichick. It's so bad. And I'm thinking to myself, you cannot be happy. She's always, would you stop doing the yoga? You're bending over. Look, I put my leg by my head. Okay. And then one time she was someplace and she was like abusing him, like mocking him. Oh, Alex, you're so stupid. You are so stupid. Listen, Conchita, stop that. She's doing the Chiro thing. So I'm looking at these two people and I say, for the love of God, where are the Baldwin brothers or whoever the sister? Where is Belichick's family? We've got to help them. They need to be severed from this. They are, I'm sorry. Look, this is, and you've seen it. Have you seen this before? Now, this is when I turn to you. Have you seen this? Have you seen this in your life? Has it ever happened to you? Oh, we never talk about this one. You can go up and down YouTube all day long. You can learn about steroids or this or that or seed oils or fasting and there's a million things. How about men who are whipped, who just they've lost their soul and they actually are petrified. And a lot of times there's no physical violence at all. It is complete and total psychological control. It's like you've never seen. I mean, remember the North Koreans, Lloyd Booker, the Pueblo? Remember that? Brainwashing, menticide, it's called. Oh, that's what this is about. Oh, yeah, so that's why men and women, you look at your sons and you tell them, if I ever see you acting, oh, you're going away. You're going to the farm. Oh, you're going to the farm. What's the farm? You'll see. You'll see. I will turn you over into a cult to get you away from that, because that will kill you. Let me ask you, gentlemen, do you know how many people have lost their minds and killed themselves, men who've blown their brains out, got into drugs and drinking because of a woman? Can you say country music? Blues? Ever that? Ever hear a blues song that says, my mama left me? No. My daddy left me? No. My sister left me? No. My friend left me? Oh, it wasn't really a friend. My wife left me? Oh, God. See? There's something there. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's nominal, but this is something that you have to understand, and it is a problem that nobody wants to talk about. What man ever comes forward and says, yeah, that's me. That's me. I don't know where to go. I'm stuck. And the best part is, dude, as the kids say, you're not even married. What are you doing? You're not married. She is a complete stranger, and you are somehow what? You are what? You're stuck in what? What are you stuck in? What is happening? What are you doing? Think about it. It is unbelievable. It is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. I know what I'm talking about. So here's the number, 800. What is it, 844-722? Is that it? Is that 844? Sometimes the numbers, is that it? 1-800, is it 844? Anytime, guys, just jump in.
1-800-848.
Oh, 848.
9222.
Oh, you changed the number on me, huh? See, I get so into this. 848. I'm just checking. 1-800-848-9222. Nothing better than looking through the glass and you're talking. It was like, I can't hear you. That's like when I see on TV people who don't wear cans. I don't understand. It's like, how can you hear? 1-800-848-9222. Now listen, do me a favor. I know all this stuff is terrific and I appreciate all this stuff. Mom Donnie, I couldn't care less about it. I'm so sick of that guy. I see him and I want to puke. And you know what? It's not just him. It's this stupid commentary on him. I can't take it. Tell me something good, but not now. 800-848-9222. And also, are you a man currently in the throes of this and you need help? You need help immediately because you're saying, what happened? You think I'm kidding. You think people think, oh, you're right. I am not kidding you. I am telling you exactly the truth. The amount of people who go through torture because of relationships, I have seen it I cannot. I remember one time I was a kid and it was like a cousin and he met this woman and she like moved in, not us, and I said, what's with, well, she's, and I kept saying, well, why doesn't are they married? No. Well, why doesn't he leave? Well, it's a little complicated. What's complicated about this? Imagine that. Hey, Tony, stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. Why don't you move out of the way? Oh, yeah. It's like one of those things. It's learned helplessness. It's like you're a prisoner of this. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And once you understand how this thing works, I'm telling you, you will, it's a power, and it's not necessarily, it's not sexual per se. That's not it. It's something that is interesting. And that's why I wish I could go and have some kind of a study to find out what is it, like the Milgram experiment or maybe the Stanford prison experiment, something where we can get down to business to find out how people lose their souls. And it's about domination, and it's about sadism. It's about sadism. Can I have a witness? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, you've seen it. And the best one right now, there are people listening, women who are saying, I'm like that. And you pretend, oh, am I like that? You know exactly you're like that. Because a predator knows he's a predator. You can't be a predator and not know it. Hey, I'm a wolf. How come all these animals run from me? Because you're a wolf. Oh, yeah, that explains. No, you know you're a predator. Don't give me this stuff about, I just unlucky love. So that's what I want to hear. We're going to go to Vincent in Brooklyn, the doctor of love. He knows it, the love bandit. He knows a lot of guys like this. Lenny in Yonkers knows about people who like to dominate. This is one of the best stories ever. And they're looking at Bill Belichick, and they're missing the point, the overarching story. And look at Alec Baldwin. Look at him. You know who else say that? Woody Allen. You see that who is that, Sun Myung Moon or whoever he's married to? This one, Key Lou. Well, I can't remember her name. But anyway, what's her name? Woody Allen, this Moon Sun or Sun Moon or the Moon and the Sun. Anyway, who knows? This poor guy's walking around. It's one of the greatest. He's disheveled. He doesn't know where he's going. He's got He goes, we're going here, Woody. Woody, eat something, Woody. Okay, all right. Once so great, and now this. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll call me. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Can I have a witness? But I got to tell you something. There is something that is so interesting here, and I mean this sincerely. It works something like this. The When I see Bill Belichick, I see a man who is being dominated by a woman and he needs an intervention. You know, when you go to they call him many, I don't want to say the man has nicknames, but, the gangster of love, I think Steve Miller may have said something about this, perhaps. His name is Vincent, and he's from a quaint little place called Brooklyn. Vincent, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Come si sente, Lucia Bed.
Mi sento molto bene oggi. Sto bene, Lionel.
There you go.
Unfortunately, I know several men who hoodwinked like that. I knew this one guy, this poor SOB, worked all his life for Xerox, copy is the company,
right.
And he was up there. He was pushing 60 and everything, and he started to subscribe, to these lovelorn columns.
Oh.
This was before there was the internet.
Right.
He meets this Russian girl, and he thinks he's gonna cozy up to. Well, she played him like a fiddle.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She took him for a ride, kept on letting him believe that he was going to get a piece. And, I mean, this guy was single, so he had a lot of money. He owned a lot of real estate and everything. And she took him to the cleaners, took practically everything from him. And this poor SOB shows up at work in Manhattan at Xerox. And because he was reaching retirement age, they fired him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, they fired him. So now, the next day, he's walking down the street in Staten Island and just flips over and croaks right there.
Whoa!
But Lionel, recently, some people came to visit me from Italy.
Right.
So one night, we're having dinner, and I'm sitting with my girlfriend across the way. She's across the way from me. And one of my friends from Italy notices that I gave her the evil eye, that I wasn't happy.
The malocchio.
Right, the malocchio. So later on, we're out. I'm smoking a cigar. We're in my garden and everything. And he says, Vincent, and he says all of this in Italian. He says, you got to remember, she's got the thing.
Oh.
I says, yeah, my man, but I got the money.
Uh-huh.
I got the money. Money can't buy you love, but it could buy you something really close to it. And so that's how I answer.
But it goes to show you. And it's not necessarily, you mentioned this years ago about the Russian. And by the way, Russian people are wonderful people.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
no. I mean, Vincent, don't you understand how this thing works? You always have to start off every story with, I know a wonderful people. The Irish people are the most wonderful. And then you go into the but. Then you go into the but. But a friend of mine told me, it's not Russian. But when you're dealing with a lot of Eastern European, remember their mindset. Remember where they're from. Remember what's in their genes. Remember what they know about treachery, what has happened to them. It's something that's a little bit different. And there's also something, we had a friend of ours, the same thing. He marries this Russian, and everybody says, oh, my God. And you could see there was no elation. And he said, what? He didn't know he didn't get it. And they said, oh, no. Are you sure? Is everything okay? Oh, yeah. I mean, this woman could barely speak English. But by the way, it goes to show you something, Vincent, that I think we need to add it to the notion of addiction. It really is. It's a cult. It's an addiction. And it's incredible. And Belichick, when you see Bill Belichick, what do you think about that? Isn't there a part of your heart that kind of goes out like, what is the matter with you?
And I hope he has an oxygen tank very close to his bed, and nitroglycerin pills, because if he's fooling around with a woman that young, I mean, between the Viagra and nitroglycerin that he's going to probably have to take.
Let me tell you something. The genius of you just now, you just described this. You should have been like a physician. You go, and Oh, let's talk to Dr. Vincent. Dr. Vincent, wouldn't you care to consult? How old are you? 73. Whew, shaz. Ho. That's not good.
Yep.
See,
So,
Dr. Vincent doesn't say sentences. He speaks in noises. Go ahead, sir.
So, a number of years ago, about almost 30 years ago, I was at a party at the Sheepshead Bay Yacht Club here in Sheepshead Bay. Mm-hmm. So I see, I'm sitting at the table and people are eating, drinking and everything. And I said to myself, I said, this woman here, she's not a member of the club. This is a club for people who actually went boating, went out in the ocean, went fishing, knew how to... Knew the ins and outs of boating. I said, what the hell is this woman doing here? She joined just so, and she was Russian, by the way, just so she could pick up because
Now listen, who's the dummy? Who's the dummy? You know, it's almost like, put it this way, they are the Joe Pistone of heartache. You know what I mean?
Joe Pistone, Lionel, I went to school with him.
Oh, really? Donnie
yes.
Brasco. Whoa.
And he was Joe Pistone in high school. I went to high school with him. Man, the toughest people wouldn't mess with that. I saw him in one fell swoop have the biggest guy on the floor begging for mercy.
Vincent, thank you so much for the lore, for the friendship, and for your perspective. More coming up as we conclude, well, sort of, from the notion of the cult of love. Paying attention to people, looking at the interaction of people, trying to figure out how this works. This is the most interesting thing in the world. And I love the psychology of news and how people handle news. Because everything that we do right now has nothing to do with the actual fact before us. What it has to do with is the way people react. Does this make any sense to you? For the first hour, I talked about Bill Belichick. I love this idea. I love this story because every now and then the idea of a cult will come back. You know, that's a cult. That is a cult. Really? Really. That is a cult. Scientology? That's a cult. Really? You better believe it. How do you know that? Well, I saw that going clear. You saw a documentary. That's it. That's it. So Tom Cruise is, he's big into that. What if you want to be? Well, see, when you're in a cult, you don't know you're in a cult. What? Now, from Florida, where I'm from, Tampa. Notice not Tampa, Tampa. It's the kind of falls apart. And not Tampa Bay either. Where are you from? East River? What about you? The Hudson River? No, it's a body of water. It's Tampa. And across Tampa Bay is Pinellas County. St. Pete, Clearwater, Pinellas County. And Clearwater is the home of the Scientologists. Scientologists came in and they bought everything you can imagine. They bought everything. The Benjamin over the Harrison Hotel, and everything everything. Do they bother anybody? No. But they bought everything in the world. And they're a cult. And there have been some stories, and I always say, well, what's the difference between the Scientology and the Catholic school? Wait a minute. Hold it. What are you comparing the Catholic Church to Scientology? I said, well, tell me what the difference is. Well, it's pretty obvious to me. Well, what's the difference? Well, obviously what? What is the difference? Tell me what the difference is. I don't know. And I've always had a hard time with that. And in Washington, I one time went to, you know what the greatest Christmas party I ever went to was? Scientology. They have a headquarters. And it was everything you ever heard. It's like Currier and Ives. They had mulled cider or whatever the hell that was. They had people in period costumes singing Christmas carols. It was the most beautiful Christmas thing I've ever seen in my life. Fountains of chocolate and this beautiful mansion. This is great. Now, one person ever said, so listen, can I talk to you for a moment? Yeah. Do you ever wonder about, no, nothing. One time also they had an award ceremony for all these people who are centurions of free speech. Free speech. They were all free speech. They were the bastions of free speech. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. It was terrific. So the bottom line is simply this. I don't know about anything unless I'm in it, and I don't listen to anybody unless I'm in it, because people, as you know, we just say things. We say things. But I like the idea of mind control. Mind control. Have you ever been in mind control? The thing I'll never forget as long as I live, this is before Trump, this is before whatever, it was this guy who said to me, hey, listen, I work for a company called, have you ever thought about going into your own business? And I was like in college or just graduate. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm kind of confused. Did you ever think about owning your own business? Well, I guess maybe, but it's like, have you ever thought about being an actor? Yeah, I thought about it, but I can't do it. Wait a minute. I'd like to talk to you about something. I got a meeting, and it was an Amway recruiter. You talk about a recruiter. It's almost like a cult, sort of, but not really. But the way they bring you in. Hey, listen, I'm going to have a few people over, and they bring out the easel, and they start drawing circles on a piece of paper, and they're describing how you can make $1 million, and they haven't made $1 million, but you're going to make $1 million. Anyway, I said, all right. I was fascinated. So they had an event. They said, listen, they're having a stand-up. It's an America event, something about America. Amway, American Way. DeVos, Rich DeVos, the Secretary of whatever, Commerce, whatever, DeVos, this is the Amway people. Rich DeVos, and Jay Van Andel from Ada, Michigan, I think it was. And I don't know what it's called now. I have no idea. I've not followed it. But I went to this thing at Curtis Hickson Hall, and it was an American. It was like a rally. It was a rally. It was wonderful. And I walked in, and I had this must have been 1980 something, 879. I don't know. And I thought, okay, I'll see what this is. And I was never into the whole patriotism, and I mean, I wasn't a communist or anything, but I walked in, I saw more flags than you can imagine. I walked in, and this guy came up to me and says, hey, I'm Bob Andrews. This is my wife, Terry. We're excited. I said, well, that's good, Bob. What the hell is he excited about? I don't know. Come on in. Can we get you something? What's your name? Jerry. I'm not giving him my real name. I said, I don't like this. I'm Jerry. Hey, Jerry, come on in. Hey, welcome. You like, whatever it was. Well, I watched this, and they had stand up, God Bless America, the flags, American Dream, you can do it. And these people that said, and my wife and I, we started off and we went direct. Apparently direct is when you have so many people working under you that you are able to advance to this status of whatever the heck it is. And you can do it too. And we're making here's our family. Here's our boat. We have boats and houses. And you can do it too, because this is the American way. And all you got to do is sell this stuff and soap. And it's the best product in the world. And here's our tapes. They had Zig Ziglar, they had Napoleon Hill, and they had Bob and Terry, whatever, Andrews or whatever their name was. And they made their money selling tapes. And they listened to tapes all day in the car, because they had cassette tapes. We're excited. You excited? I'm excited. Yeah. Hey, stand up again from sea to shut. Yeah. I would have taken the hill had they said that. When I got done, I was so revved up. I thought, damn. Second only to skydiving. You want to see what natural cortisone or cortisol will do? Jump out of a plane. That'll set you free. You'll never be the same. That will, you can take all the drugs you want. This is natural. Anyway, so that became my love of mind control, menticide, persuasion. I've been telling everybody in New York City, if you want to go out and you want to win elections, you got to change the way people think. You got to change their mind. You got to know menticide. You got to know how this thing works. Do I make myself clear? Do I make myself clear? Well, add to that different things. Have you ever found yourself really involved in something? I know people, and I know you're going to laugh at this, but I know people who are demented when it comes to the Yankees. I'm sorry, and I'm so sorry about there's one friend of mine, I'm not talking to her. I'm not even getting near her. I'm not. One time she grabbed me by the shirt and looked at me like, you know what this means to me? I said, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I think I kind of scoffed and go, well, better luck next time. Better luck next time? I'm sorry. It's like the loss of a relative or something. This woman is demented. Got the Yankee hat, and the Yankee ring, and the Yankee this, and the tattoo, and the Yankee. Okay, fine. It's harmless. It's the same thing. It's mind control. And they go for their rally. The rally is the altar, the tabernacle, Yankee Stadium. And they bow. This is juvenile. This is bred in circuses. This goes back. This is perfect. We are subject to mind control, every single one of us. And depending upon where we are, we will adapt our own particular personality upon those people and the expectations of the people that we're dealing with. Does that make any sense to you? Good. But then Bill Belichick. Oh my God. He's in that other cult. He's lost his mind. And how there is, reminds me of Brian Wilson. Remember Brian Wilson fell under the control of that doctor or somebody, and they had a family intervened and had a restraining order. Or people can do this. You see it sometimes when somebody will come in and you have a caretaker. Let me tell you something. This is different. This is just predation, but. When you have this caretaker take care of mama, and I see somebody walking around pushing this old lady, and she's on the phone, and I'm thinking, I hope they have all her assets locked up, because the first thing this one's going to do is, as she's feeding grandma and changing her diaper, is going to be saying, they become very, very vulnerable, and they become childlike and very trusting, and they don't know anymore. That's predatory. That's sick. But Bill Belichick, he is a victim and a prisoner of maybe love or something else. Lenny in Yonkers. Lenny, you know what I'm talking about, Lenny? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do, Lionel. And my credit cards were stolen, and I didn't report it because the guy who stole my credit cards was spending less than my girlfriend.
Thank you so much. You are so funny. You have a wit and a talent. Thank you, sir.
And I heard the Beatles song, Money Can't Buy You Love. I heard Vincent say it. Money can't buy you love, but it'll let you pick your own misery.
There you go. Lenny, you are a wealth of information. You are a font, a veritable endless supply of witticisms, and I thank you. Carmine in Brooklyn. You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
I go back with you many, many, many years. First of all, a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
I wish you and your loved ones good health.
Yes, sir.
Good health. And I think your show is fantastic. I stay up late just to listen to you.
Yes, thank you, sir. I'm honored, sir. Honored. And the same to you, my dear friend. Carmine, you call me back anytime, my friend. I love that. You know what? That is just perfect. That is just beautiful. Let's go to Angie in Long Island. Angie. Angie. You're next, Angie. Make it good.
Oh, Lionel, I love you, man. I love you. And my sentiments to that guy who just said he stays up all night, because I do, to listen to you.
Oh,
you are magnificent.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I love you so much, sweetheart. Your wife is a lucky woman.
No, I'm the lucky one. No. No.
No, sweetie. Okay, you're both lucky.
Absolutely.
God bless you both.
Thank you, Angie.
Okay. Now I wanted to
I
talk about.
thought that was a goodbye. I'm sorry. Proceed.
No.
Proceed, please.
No. I wanted to talk about what you were talking about men getting
Yeah.
taking over control from a woman. Right. I don't understand it. Okay, as a woman, I used to be very attractive.
I want you to do
a little
something.
bit
I want
older
you to
now.
stop for 1 second because I have to take a break, as we say. Though we never call it a break, we call it an interregnum. Let me remind you that this is Lionel, and this is the other side of midnight. Follow me on what am I? Oh, at Lionel Media. Okay. Now let's go back to Angie. Angie was calling. Angie is such a delight. Angie, you were going to make a question or make a statement regarding women who control men.
Lionel, I can't get enough of you.
Good.
Okay, you are like the best.
That is true.
Okay. Now, okay, so I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Okay, I used to be really pretty. Now I'm up in age. Now,
Stop it. Don't
okay?
ever say that. Don't ever say that in my presence ever again. You used to be pretty. You're better now. You're wine.
Okay.
You've aged beautifully with a beautiful patina. You're worth more. It's called valuation. It's called, come on, stop it. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So now, all right. I don't understand why a woman would want to control a man like that. Because for me, hear me out.
I am.
When aspetta.
I am.
I lose respect for a man who does that.
Uh-huh. Who allows it?
That's the question. Yeah,
Right.
Okay. When I saw a man do that, I would lose respect for them.
Right. You should.
Right.
So what
that's
about
my
the woman?
question.
What about the woman who is preying on this
Who
poor
does
man?
it? Right. Exactly. And right. So why does a man let the woman do that?
Let me ask you
don't
this
they
question.
see
It's an
that-
excellent question. Here we go.
Right. I'm
It's-
putting it back sideways.
You know what it is? You know what? I'll tell you what. It's like a bully. It's like a con man. It's like somebody who tries to use a salesman who is underhanded. It's a lot of things along those lines. It's not. It's not. There's this predatory part. But this is different, and I cannot tell you what it is. I always believe that when you see something, the actual cause is the opposite. Let me explain. I have an acquaintance. She comes across as the biggest egomaniac you've ever met in your life. But she has an inferiority complex. She compensates. She cushions. She deals with, works around the sense of failure by this overdeveloped sense of haughtiness, if that makes any sense. When a bully, if I had a child and I saw my child exhibiting bullying, I would be so frightened, because that is the first sign of psychopathy, of sadism, where I am preying on people and I am fulfilling a need I have by attacking the vulnerable. It is one of the most serious things you can ever do. Give me a child or somebody that shows compassion, that shows empathy, and that's another story. Fran in Massapequa. Fran, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hello, sir. What a pleasure.
Yes,
You're
sir.
the man. All right, you ever hear of Judge Fleischer?
Oh, on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, Judge Fleischer Chronicles. What a how do I say? What a champ he is.
I
What a
hate
great
it. I
little,
hate the show. I hate the show.
I know. I figured you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured you would. I figured you would.
It makes a mockery
But I
of
mean-
the courtroom, like Judge Judy,
Not really.
Yes, it does.
In what way? In what way?
because this is not. Remember that judge, that poor judge was in Rhode Island or whatever, who died recently of cancer.
Yeah,
He was a
He was.
worst judge ever. He let people off. I like you. What did you do? I was in World War II. Forget the ticket. What about you? I'm 12 years old. Forget it. That doesn't. No. That's not a courtroom. This is equal justice under the law. And these grandstanding judges. No, I'm surprised they still have their ticket. I really do. And Judge Judy, the worst. Hey, she is the minstrel show of judges. Proceed, sir. I'm sorry.
I agree. I mean, I agree with you in a way.
But go ahead.
I just think it's entertaining because
But Judge
what I wanted to
Wapner-
say was
Wapner was a different story. Wapner was the greatest judge. I learned more about law. He was fabulous. Respectful, treated people with decorum. That's the way it's done. I'm sorry, friend. I keep interrupting. I apologize.
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Judge Doug Llewellyn, the guy who would do the interviews. It was a great show.
Right.
I grew up on it.
Right.
I grew up on that. But listen, what I like about it is you get to see, like, he had a guy on today. I was watching it, right? A guy on. But he had a guy in front of him. The guy had like 10 arrests.
Right.
And the guy's asking for bond. I mean, you get to see the inside because I got arrested when I was 16. And my dad said to me, don't effing call me next time. So I took that to heart and I never got in trouble again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did a little, but not arrested. You understand what I'm saying? I took the right path instead of the left path. And the bottom line is that you get to see the behind the scenes. And I think it's fascinating to see how some of these people, some of the charges. I mean, this one person had credit card fraud, assault, rob. I mean, it's amazing how these people are on the street. So I agree with you in that sense. They should never get away with anything, especially the multiple offenders.
Well, no, that's the
thing,
defendant,
really
but the
quick-
judges,
okay, go ahead.
though. But the judges are a different story. You don't have to camp it up. But I will tell you this much: there is something. If you show what you're doing, or take that particular genre, and look at what I love, and that is people, especially Karens, getting arrested. And if you see somebody wearing a bonnet today or any kind of like a shower cap, forget it. Get ready. Here we go. It's the official uniform of hang on to your horses. The second one is wait a minute. And I'm not going to cut you off. The second one is I can't breathe. They say that when they're pulled over. They're not even in custody. I can't breathe. Well, maybe you should see a doctor about that. Maybe an asthma. I can't breathe. And the other one, too, is have you seen these sovereign citizens? Have you seen these people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a traveler on his license plate.
Right. Right. Sovereign citizens believe
Oh, my God.
Through
They
some-
lost.
through some particular constitutional 30 past the hour, through some kind of constitutional machination, that they're not driving, they're traveling. And that the only way you need to need a license is if you're commercial, but they're not commercial. Now, where they got this from, I have no idea. And they will,
Insane.
and they start off like this: get out of the car. I'm not getting out of the car. Why? I didn't do anything. Okay, that's right true. And number 3, I can't breathe. Don't forget, throw in that's that Mike with that brown, or I can't breathe. All right.
Oh,
Then
I love it.
they say, if you don't get out, we're going to drag you out. I'm not going to be arrested. You can't do that. Okay, now it's directly opposing the police officer. And then they will say, roll down the window. I'm not, and they're on their phone. I'm going to call my mother. Excuse me. So take Judge Fleischer, move him aside. Look at the most incredible, defiant obstinacy. I don't even know what you call this. It's unbelievable. Proceed, sir.
All right, real quick. Going back to another point you were talking about with the man and the women, the women, whatever. What about America's Top 40? Casey, man, was he controlled at the end?
America's who?
He's talking about Casey Kasem.
Oh, Casey Kasem.
Going back now. I'm going back.
Fran, I'll tell you what, Fran, I'm losing you on this phone. I'm not trying to be rude, but sometimes things come in. See, Casey Kasem, that's different though. Sometimes because of either dementia or because of some type of an infirmity, that's a different story, and that's even sicker. Brian in Bayside. Brian, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Lionel.
Yes, sir.
Before you referred to some women as evil.
Yes.
And I actually referred to my ex-wife as evil for years. Like I would say, hey, evil, did you cash that check? Hey, evil, put a stamp on that.
Like Evil Knievel.
No, referred to as evil.
No, I know that. It's a joke. Evil Knievel. Get it? All right, forget it. Okay, forget it.
Evil Knievel? I know who Evil Knievel is.
I know. It was an attempt at a pun, a segue, a comical relief. It was a bon mot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, swing and a miss. Anyway.
No, you didn't get it, but go ahead.
I know who Evil Knievel is. Anyways, so, we dated for 6 years. We got married. We had a noopsie after 3 months. And here I am, a handyman in high school. This evil person took me to court for maintenance. Do you know what maintenance is?
Yes, alimony.
No, alimony. You're right. Meaning I'm a multimillionaire and, she drives around in a Rolls. Here I am, a handyman making like $70,000 a year, if that. And she sued me for maintenance. I showed up to court by myself. My lawyer said, I need a $1,200. I said, I did a little research. I'm going to do it by myself. And I knew the judge. Long story short, the judge tells her lawyer, come here, with the finger. Come here, approach the bench. Did you do any research? Did you look up his W-2s or anything? No, I have none of that. Excellent. Dismissed. Then she looks at me. She points the gavel at me and goes, you're a moron. Do you want to countersue? Do you want to? No, I just want to get out of here. Did you lose a day's pay? Yes. You can countersue, Mr. So-and-so. And for years, I was like, hey, evil, where can I pick up my daughter? Is she in Brooklyn? Is she in... And she hated it. I mean, we don't talk now. And thank God my daughter is like incredibly successful. And
remember, though, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Was there ever a time when you were madly in love?
Absolutely.
Now, stop for a second. Think about that. You went from madly in love to hating her guts. And I'll bet you, if the truth be told, that you had some fantasies where if I told you, listen, Brian, I can fix it so that nobody will ever know, but evil, evil's not a problem anymore. You might have thought about that. You might have said,
We went to therapy, and basically she was told that she strives on, like I would come home after working a double shift, busting my hump, come out of the shower, and she'd be like, well, what did you mean when you said that 2 weeks ago? I'm like, what the hell are you doing to me? I just want to go to bed. I'm going to play with my daughter for 2 minutes, put her in bed and read a bedtime story, and I want to go to sleep.
There is there is something, I'll tell you what, Brian, you have said something. A dear friend of mine recently says, I'm getting married. I said, I think it is the most wonderful thing in the world. And I am so blessed because I swear to God, when I tell you this, my wife and I have never had, arguments. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said some stuff that probably was stupid, but it was like, that's it. Stop it. Just like two people, everybody does that. But a knockdown dragger, no. No. It does not happen. It shouldn't happen. But understand something. You're taking two people and you're putting them into one of the most incredibly natural relationships there is. You've got friends, you've got family, you had parents, you kind of lived together, but not really. You lived in the same house, but that was a different story. This is different. You also don't know anything about your friends. Sometimes you've got some great buddies, right? But you don't know what they're like. Have you ever, this is amazing. Have you ever heard somebody, remember this, never get in the middle of a divorce between, between friends. If they're having, families, husband and wife, friends, never get in the middle of it. Never take sides. It's a civil war. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. And what's interesting is that sometimes, one time, I against my better judgment, or I didn't have any say, the ex-wife of a friend said, well, let me tell you something. You don't know him. I said, no, hold it. Now, wait a minute. I don't want to go into this. And she told me stuff that they did in their marriage. I thought, oh my God. And I said, first of all, this isn't fair. Number one, you shouldn't be saying this. But then again, it made me realize, I don't know half of these people. So when you find yourself, let me ask you this. Do you think people should live together before they get married?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Know each other, learn each other's ways.
Who is it who says no? And then let me say, statistics show that there's no thing.
And we didn't live together before we were married. Well,
no.
We did, but we didn't.
When you have, I'm telling you, when you have also, when people are having fights, and this is the beginning of a relationship, this is when it's supposed to be at its best, and you've got really serious,
Like 2 years we were married, and she started this crap with she had a very strange relationship with her mother. Like, she had to call her mother like 10 times a day. It was very strange. Again, the person who's most upset about us getting divorced was my father-in-law. He begged me, please, I want counseling. He cried to me. You're the best thing that ever happened to us. Please, Brian. And I said, I'm sorry. There's nothing left. There's nothing.
Have you ever seen something where sometimes the husband or the wife likes the parents more than the spouse? Like if you could switch.
I liked her father better than I liked her. I got along better with her father than I did with her.
There's something very odd about that, and it's a very, very sad thing. But it's not for everything. It's not. No,
I'm joking when I say that. Oh, by the way, they are the biggest meat purveyor in New York City, multi-million-dollar family. Anyways, but
what did you say? Who? What?
The biggest meat purveyor in the city. I was married to his daughter.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Anyways, and he begged me, please, please, Brian, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, when I went over there to pick her up the first time I went to go meet him, I said, meet them. They love me. And we go outside, and I open the car door for them, for her, rather. I opened the passenger door for her to let her in the door. And the sons are up there going, what a F, what a gay person, Anyways, he told me later on that he smacked him in the head. He goes, that's a man. Open the car door for my girlfriend. You understand?
Right. What's interesting about that though is these are some of the things, and I can't say it enough. Goes for men, goes for women. When I used to see, have you ever, you've been to family court, when you see what people go through every day, it is a chamber of horrors. And it is something that I think people need to understand. Listen, I'm sorry, I've said this so many times, it sounds like a broken record. One time a young person asked me, what does it mean, a broken record? You mean like a record for like no, not a record for like the high jump, a record. They don't know what I'm one cliche after another. But remember when you were in driver's ed and they showed you pictures of drunk driving crashes, or they want to show you this could go wrong. I think everybody who gets married should watch Fatal Attraction. She'll watch War of the Roses, Kramer versus Kramer. You know, you don't know what this thing is. It is the most brutal. And all I'm saying is that you know more about getting a driver's license. I one time asked somebody, I sat down and said, let me explain something to you. I said, what can you do? What can you do? Oh, this was years ago.
Can I say this real quick?
What?
There was a chemical change after my daughter was born. My daughter was beautiful, whatever, 3-4 months. I go, please, let's go away. Give her to my parents or whatever. My parents go watch her. Your parents go watch her. No, they don't know how to watch her. And I'm like, where did we come from? We were raised.
Right.
You have 3 brothers. Right. I have a brother.
Right.
We're fine. They have no idea how to watch her. Meanwhile, my daughter was like, don't touch that. Okay. Like, everybody said she was the easiest child ever. And thank God today she works for a huge family. Today she's in Senegal, whatever, Spain, wherever the hell she is. Yeah. I have no idea where she is. Dad, I'm here for 3 weeks. I'll see you next month. We're on the cruise. When I get service, I'll call you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But anyways, she makes more money than you and me put together. Not that that's a comparison for anything.
But I'm glad to see she somehow came out of this toxic communion, so to speak, unscathed. God. Hey, listen, Brian, thank you, my friend.
My buddy, thank you, Lionel.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Oh, did I mean to do that? Rick in New Jersey. Here we go. Rick wants to talk about AI and the law. Rick hasn't been listening to anything we've been saying. Right, Dick?
I have.
Right, Dick?
Yeah. Oh, we're back to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm going to talk about AI. You're talking about this. I'm going to talk about that.
Well, I asked if I could ask, and he said yes.
Well, of course, what did he tell you? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Ask the big question. Kill the show. Go ahead. Ask me, Dick. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for making me feel so wanted. Anyway, I called up customer service yesterday, and
my God!
And he tells me he's Jeremiah, and Jeremiah didn't sound right.
Right.
There was a weird delay in the answers, and so I said, Jeremiah, are you a real person or is this AI generated? And he said, I'm a real person. And then it kept on going off where it sounded off. In fact, he kept on going, and I said, why are you interrupting me constantly going, And he didn't answer. And I said, he's not programmed to answer for this. So my question to you is are companies obligated to tell you the truth when you ask? Is this customer service generated?
It's a great question. And let me ask you, let me put it this way. There used to be a story, there used to be a myth that when there were undercover operations where the police would try to set up men for prostitution stings, women. I gotta keep. This screen keeps asking, "Do you want me to set the restart?" No, not now. Anyway, you don't care about that. But the idea was that if there's a woman and you think she's an undercover police officer, and you say, "Are you a cop?" And if they have to tell you yes, where did that come from? Where did that come? Imagine Donnie Brasco. Hey, are you really an FBI agent? Yeah, you got me. Okay, I knew it. I know. Bang, you're dead. It's not going to happen. That's why years ago people would say, the best way to make sure it's not a cop is to sample some of the dope. See, a cop can't do the dope. Really? Really? I don't think so. You're going to undo not injecting is one thing, but you're going to undo a multi-year sting operation because you didn't want to take a taste of, no. Sorry. Now that may be wrong and cops may deny it, but come on, stop it. Well, the same thing with AI. Are they supposed to say, are you a human? Now, what I would do is, I would say the reason why he said he wasn't a human was because he didn't know what a human was. Doesn't know what that means. He wasn't lying. He didn't know this. He doesn't know he's AI. He doesn't have a sense of awareness. He doesn't have self-awareness. He doesn't know where things are. So that's a different story. I want to go back to the original question. Yesterday was Warrior Wednesday with my beloved Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors. We talked about how boys have to be protected, have to be instructed, have to be told, this is what's happening in the world. This is what you should be aware of. This is what I want you to know, blah, 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 blah. Okay. In addition to that, we have to understand, especially when they are in that dating cycle and they have never found love, puppy love, romance, throw into the mix hormones. Now, Bill Belichick's another story, but let's talk about young kids. At least maybe we can do something. You've got to pay attention and you've got to understand and you've got to show how this thing works, how somebody, the evil seed. See, I love stories like this. I remember one time there was somebody who told me, you got to understand, there are some people, there are some cultures, and this is like, wait a minute, I'm not going to mention where what you would be consider, what you might consider underhandedness is par for the course. Of course, you can't say this, but underhandedness is one thing that other people can't deal with. See, I don't care about, you got to understand something. I don't care about offending anybody. I'll tell you the way it is. Some things are true. And the only things, remember, things that are offensive are things that are true. When somebody says that's offensive, it means it's true. Just remember that. Now, coming up, we haven't even gotten to the bottom of this. I've got such good stuff. But this Belichick thing and this business with nobody talks about Alec Baldwin. I'm telling you, I'll bet you one day this man's going to be drooling in his oatmeal and there's going to be a protective order and that wife of his, because I'm telling you right now, if there's not some kind of drug or potion in his Mapo, I don't know what is. This is Lionel and this is the other side of midnight. Don't forget, my friends, follow me at Lionel Media on X. Now let's talk about something too. Let's talk about crazy. Have you seen this broad name? Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but she is. Her name is Katie Porter. You seen this delightful specimen? There's not a lot to say, but you've got to just look her up. She's running for governor, and she is the most miserable person you have ever met in your life. And she's doing an interview with somebody, and she says, I'm running for, governor, whatever it is. And the female interrogatrix, the whatever, and said something to the effect of, how do you expect to get Trump received 40%. How do you expect to garner or get the 40% votes that he had? She's a Democrat, obviously. And this Katie said, what do you mean? Well, you're going to win by 60%? How do you plan? It wasn't a snarky question. And she says, okay, that's it. All right, forget it. I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm done. She takes off her mic. I'm getting out of here. It's like, that was nothing. So anyway, then they start investigating her, and they start reviewing her, and they start going back, and they start looking, and they start doing all of this crazy stuff. And they found her where she was either apparently at home, she was doing some kind of, I guess, a YouTube or Instagram or something. She's talking into the camera. And somebody walked behind her, maybe a staff member or somebody, but was more importantly there to say, wait a minute, hold it. You said something that was incorrect. So she starts screaming, you effed up my spot. You walked into my spot. And she said, yeah, but you said the I don't care. This woman is just evil. Nuts. There's something, I want you to know something. I can tell a lot of things. Nuts. Nuts. One time, years ago, I used to say something. And I'm going to say it now to you. And I'm not going to apologize for it. But I would tell people, and I would say this to my male friends, and they would say, uh-huh. You know the Miranda card you keep in your pocket and said you have the right to remain silent, and you read it so you don't forget a particular line. Everybody should have this line. Excuse me. I'm having a great time, but I want to get this out of the way. I want to read something to you. And Michaela, is that your name? Great. I want you to read something to me. Now listen carefully. What is wrong with you? Tell me now. Don't let me find out a week from now. I'm not going to run. I'm tough. But just don't surprise me. You have some kind of a psychological disorder, eating disorder, some abuse problem. You have an abandonment issue, eating something, anything. Are you an alcoholic? Are you psychotic? Tell me now, because I've been fooled by the best. Oh, it starts off great, but then all of a sudden you see the eyes like, ah. Have you ever ask any male this question? Anybody. Have you ever seen a woman drink and then all of a sudden her eyes roll back and you say, who's this? And it's Reagan from The Exorcist. Who's this? And something snaps. They're not an alcoholic. They turn into a she-devil or the Tasman or something. And you realize, what the hell is this? Then there are some particular women who think that you can go up, I'm sorry to say this, and you can slug men. They can hit you. And they think you can't hit them back because of some demented sense of Marcus of Queensberry or something like, oh, no. Or they love to fight. They're not necessarily the Belichick. Listen, I know men, I've never dated men, so I can't really speak for that. And I've never had friends of mine, men who dated men. So it's always, I'm sorry, maybe my perspective. But I am telling you, and that's why every father has to sit down with his son and say, listen, is your mother out? Yeah, okay. She went to the store. Now listen to me. Look at me. You may think I'm your father. You may think I'm some old fart who doesn't know what I'm talking about. But listen to me. If I see that you're going out with some lunatic, I'm going to grab you. And don't make me hit you, but I will take you out before I see you walk into that buzzsaw. I am not going to let that happen to you. I will scare you. I'm telling you, and the best part is, you know what I'm talking about. There are people walking around this world who are out of their minds. And you work with them and they seem nice, but you haven't been in this situation. Now, coming up, conversion therapy. Oh, yeah. The Supreme Court's taking it up. And I'm not necessarily for it, but I sure as hell ain't against it. What is conversion therapy? What am I talking about? I don't know. How do I know what I'm talking about? I'm kidding. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you want to find out, you're going to have to keep listening to Lionel on the other side of midnight. Tony, you into Bad Bunny?
I don't know. I just know the name. I never heard his music.
Come on, stop it. Come on, Blaze. You into Bad Bunny? You know all that rap, hip-hop stuff? Ever hear of Bad Bunny? Never heard about this guy. He's famous. I can't get enough of Bad Bunny. It's the most genius thing. Everybody says, no, can't have Bad Bunny. Mike Johnson says, you can't have Bad Bunny. Have you heard him? Hell no. What? I don't know who he is. Some Puerto Rican. Why don't you go back to Eric C. Dickerson from the Rams? Go back to Puerto Rico. Sing that crap. Have you heard him? No, I haven't heard him. Doesn't have to hear him. No, I haven't heard him. I haven't, eaten, industrial waste either, but I know I don't want it. Bad Bunny is going to be the Times Man of the Year. It was absolute genius. And you know you're going to be watching the Super Bowl. 9 gazillion people are going to be watching Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny. It's like when all of a sudden Saul Alinsky came out. Remember that one? Remember all you armchair conservatives? Saul, why don't you take... Oh, it's a typical Saul Alinsky. Yeah, that Obama, he's with that Saul Alinsky. You know, he's a student of that Saul Alinsky. Who's Saul Alinsky? I don't know who the hell Saul is. But I know he's one of them, and by God, that's... you could have that. Have that Saul Alinsky guy. What has he said? For the last time, I don't know what he said, but it can't be good. People just say this stuff. People who just posture. All I know is Bad Bunny, I have no... Why is it any worse than anything? I mean, how bad out of all of the... Let me ask you something. And you gentlemen would know this more than me because I don't know anything about this. Who would be in your... Maybe not current, but maybe... Who was the most vile, the most profane, the most horrible, if there is such a word, rapper or whatever ever, who would be the person that was the most profane, racist, misogynistic, criminal, that you have ever heard? I mean, is that even possible? Remember the guy came with the clock? Who was it? The guy with the clock in it.
Flavor Flav.
Okay, was he bad? He wasn't really that bad.
No, he wasn't.
No, but he looked bad.
He was always drunk.
What's wrong with that? But who was the worst? Who was the worst person ever? The worst one who... there was a guy one time. I used to always joke about this, but there was a fellow named Gigi Allen. You know who he was? That would be my pick. Gigi Allen was born... You know what his real name was? Jesus Christ Allen. He's born in 1950. It's his real name. Jesus Christ Allen. A-L-L-I-N. Gigi. I think it was lowercase Gigi. And he was a punk rock musician known less for his songs and more for his shock theater violence and self-mutilation. He would... Well, let me tell you this much. Remember when Gallagher would smash the watermelon and people would they would open up shower curtains and in the front row? You know, there was a story one time about, I think was it him? I forgot exactly, but the mallet or something flew off or hit somebody. In any event, it was terrible, Gallagher. But that was funny. The Sledge-O-Matic. He would smash a watermelon. Well, Gigi Allen would, do a certain activity on stage, smear himself with it, and throw it at the audiences. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll let you fill in the blanks. He would cut himself with glass or razors he would get naked and attack fans. Gigi Allen. He called it rock and roll terrorism. He said he wanted to destroy rock's hypocrisy. And he said, rock has become safe. So my friend, who was one of my best pals ever, we became aficionados of Gigi Allen, at least in name only. And we never really went to see him. I wouldn't go see him, get hepatitis or whatever. But we talked about it. We'd say, Tony, you're the Gigi Allen. We talk about Gigi Allen. Well, one day in this first incarnation of talk radio, he actually had Gigi Allen was coming to town, to Tampa, and he had him on his show. Well, I can't tell you what presents Gigi Allen left for the crew the next day. But That would be there's nobody, you could take Bad Bunny all you want. You could take Flavor Flav. You take anybody you want, but nobody ranks up there with Gigi Allen. They talked about David Allen Cobas. Forget it. Anybody who heaves Egesta at their audience and cuts himself with bottles, no. So Bad Bunny, good for you. That's a nice move, but it is absolute genius, and these people don't get it. They're going crazy. Republicans don't get it. They're played like fiddles, like they're played every single time. It's like I can't. It's the most incredible thing in the world. They're just played. Why don't you just say that's the Democratic Party for you? Hey, don't look at me. No. Bad Bunny is good. You liked it? You want to vote for it? That's it. Don't look at me. If we ran it, we'd have, I don't know, Kid Rock or Lee Greenwood or I almost said Peggy Lee. But the point is, I would deflect it. I would say, oh, no, don't look at me. Well, you want that, don't you? This is the Democratic Party. This is liberalism. These are the people who want to give you this coming of age, this nonsense. This is the gay military dramedy. Is a heartfelt coming of age, gay military. No, you want that? Take it. No. I would make them own it. I'd make them eat it. You want Bad Bunny? That's it. I would raise my hand every, yes. Oh, by the way, listen to this. Have you heard the rumblings about Kamala? Que mala, for all my Latino friends out there. Que mala, que mala. She's out, and they're saying she might be a little halal, a little arrebadao, a little, you know what I mean? A little goon. She might be hitting that box wine a little bit too much. And people are getting scared because this is her story. And, I'm just saying, a lot of people are talking. There's a lot of folks out there who are saying, okay, Mila, it looks like there's something ain't right. And they said, this is her chance to come out and to be a part of this stuff. And I'm not too sure about that. You see, what was supposed to be Kamala and her big comeback tour is, according to several folks and whatever, turning into a slow motion kind of a PR disaster. A lot of people who attended her recent book signings describe her as a little off kilter, a little giddy, a little bit, even for her logolalic terms, a little bit, a little tipsy, a little under the weather. And people are saying that her team are going to say, oh my God, this is not good. This book, this was a chance for her to somehow reacquaint herself, to show her as being relatable and introspective. And it's not exactly landing the way they had hoped. So there you go with that. And there's nothing sadder than that. So anyway, before we get to conversion, let's go to Charlie in Cherry Hill. Charlie knows about this. Charlie, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hello, Lionel. Well, first of all, I don't know I don't know a whole lot about Bad Bunny song because he sings in Spanish and he doesn't sing in English, so I can't speak, so I can't understand his music for that reason. But the idea that I had is that for people who are dissatisfied with this, and then there's a lot of us out there who are, what we should do is we should propose our own alternative halftime show, have it at a concert somewhere else, and have it start at the exact same time the Super Bowl halftime.
Come on. I mean, seriously. Don't you want to? I might watch. I don't even watch the Super Bowl. I used to love, didn't you love the the commercials? And you wanted to see the commercials. The commercials. One of the greatest commercials ever came out was Who Let the Dogs Out? Remember that one? Or what was it one? What's up? Remember that one? That oh my God, that drove me crazy. What's up? That was Super Bowl. The famous Apple or Macintosh ad that showed nobody really understood. That was the Super Bowl. They were the best. The Clydesdales after 9/11. Oh my God. Now it's like, I don't want to watch it. I'm going to watch Bad Bunny now. I'm going to watch Bad Bunny because he is going to rock the world. Bad Bunny. And the best part about it is that nobody knows anything about it. And instead of the Republicans making the Democrats eat it by saying, oh, I think it's fantastic. May I read you some of the lyrics? Would you like that? Did you ever hear John Kennedy read? Go online and read Senator John Kennedy. You know when he does that foghorn leghorn thing, which is kind of cute. It gets a little annoying, but anyway, he one time read this really very sexually explicit and rather perverse something about children. It was really bad. And he read it. I'm going to take some lube. Okay, thank you. And I recorded it. By the way, I would leave it on messages for friends of mine. I would just have John Kennedy reading this. It's like we had an album years ago of Everett Dirksen doing Wild Thing. It's just true. Well, they had to have John Kennedy read Dirty Bunny lyrics.
Don't you mean Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny, Dirty Bunny, Bad Bunny, Naked Bunny, Bunny, Conejo, Conejito, a hare. By the way, what's the difference between a hare and a bunny or a rabbit? Between a mule and a burro? Between a frog and a toad? These are questions I want to know, damn it. But again, you would think people would get it. They would sit there and say, we're being played again. And do you think somebody would call up Roger Goodell and say, can I ask you a question? I'm sure you had a good reason. Roger, is there a particular song that Bad Bunny did? Is there anything that you like in particular? I'm just curious. You must have had a good reason for the Super Bowl. You must be. Hey, all of you. Does Jerry Jones? Jerry, do you appreciate that? And all the owners. Do y'all appreciate that? See, I would make them eat their words, eat their decision. I would drive them crazy. But no. The world's falling apart, and everybody's running to the mic to complain the loudest about Bad Bunny. Oh, come on. Coming up, I'm going to be reading some of his lyrics after I remind you that this is Lionel on the other side of midnight. One translation from the song Zafaera. Hoy se bebe, hoy se gasta. I shouldn't even say this. Hoy se fuma como una rasta, si Dios lo permite. Tonight we drink. Tonight we spend. Tonight we smoke like a rasta if God allows it. Hey! Kind of snappy. Don Cornelius, I give it an 8 for rhythm. Well, look at this. Let me translate the others. And imagine John Gill go to somebody, tonight we drink, tonight we spend, tonight we smoke like a rasta, if God allows it. She's wearing no panties and no bra. Says it's time to move her backside. Get on all fours, baby. Let's perform intermission. Tell the DJ to turn that song up. If your boyfriend doesn't please you or provide a certain delight, a series of forms of affection, then he's useless. Come here. I'll take care of you. Now that is the song of a generation, ladies and gentlemen. And all I know is whatever label he's doing, it's going to be Bad Bunny all over the place. Because what these morons have never forgotten is the forbidden fruit. When your parents told you, oh, don't listen to that. Oh, really? Oh, you don't like it? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It makes no sense. George is calling from this place called New York City. George, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. I'm addicted to your show. Bad Bunny sold out 2 shows at Yankee Stadium 3 years ago, and it would have been more, but the Yankees were coming home from a road trip. I know people don't like this, but a lot of young kids like it. I mean, we grew up on Bugs Bunny, so why don't they have a steel cage match, Bugs Bunny versus Bad Bunny?
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, and I thank you. Good point. Carol in Chicago. Carol, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hello there. Listen, I had no clue who Bad Bunny was when I heard it announced on the Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. And the first thing I did was look this up. I'm like, well, who is this? And he was Artist of the Year in 2022. He sold over 7 million records.
Yeah.
He was in the WWE Wrestling in 2022, the Royal Rumble in 2023, Backlash pay-per-view.
Look at you. You're a veritable suppository of information as to Bad Bunny.
I'm telling you, good old whatever, Google or whoever that is on my phone. And then there is, he starred in Bullet Train in 2022, or should I say he appeared in, and in Cassandra in 2023, Caught Stealing in 2025, and Happy Gilmore in 2025. Now, this guy is not just a singer. He's a wrestler. He's an actor. He has dated a few people that are kind of famous women. It's like, holy moly. And I love Super Bowl. I love the game. I love the show. I am enthralled with how they get that everything in the middle of the field up and at them in that short time. Can you imagine what it takes to plug all that stuff in, get all those modules together, get all the music organized and do all that?
And not then ruin the field. Well, it's artificial, but, Carol, let me just stop you for 1 second. I want to applaud you for bringing up the worth of Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, as in Ocasio-Cortez. You know the name of his first album was X100 PRE. His second album, or whatever, was called YHLQMDLG. For Yo hago lo que me da la gana, I do whatever I want. Then there was El Último Tour del Mundo, and then, which is fine. And he worked with Cardi B and Drake and Oasis. Yep. Here is the bottom line. And I'm so glad you remind me of this. It's a song. It's okay.
Aren't we, we're past the point. I love The Who. I love Mick Jagger. I actually saw the Jackson mishap of Little Planet on stage. Right. And I said, did I just see what I saw? Never saw it again because they kept blanking it out. But I saw the original.
Carol, they call that a wardrobe malfunction. And I swear to God, even when they slowed it down, you had to have the visual acuity of a fighter pilot because I couldn't see it. I'm thinking, what is this? And she had a quote, a nipple shield. I said, wait a minute. She had a shield? So was she ready for it? I'm thinking, what am I talking about? This isn't the Zapruder film. Who cares?
I had no idea what that was. I'm like, holy moly, where have I been? But, these are things that, and then again, when the performance is over, I am amazed at how quickly they disassemble
exactly. You're so right about that. I love the logistics, 30 past the hour. I want my, and I'm sorry, and I hate to say this, I'm not a conservative. I'm not one of these types. But this is how you give us a bad name. Why do you take such glee in being offended all the time? I'm always offended. War offends me. Annihilation, pain, suffering, destruction, the loss of humanity. That's offensive to me. Bad Bunny? What is the matter? Remember Dynamo Hum? Remember that with the Frank Zappa? And that was nothing. We thought it was great because it was mild. There was a certain time when I thought that was even funnier. Remember when they thought Louie Louie? They thought Louie Louie was profane. We gotta go. Yeah. Gotta stop that. Why? They thought it was profane. It's like, I don't even know what it is. Well, it sounds. Conservatives, Republicans, listen to me. If you want to make it in this world, you got to act like an adult. You're supposed to be tough. You're supposed to be into things like World War and we're going to fight. And when America's fighting the flag. And this is what upsets you? Who cares? Anyway, I think I've said it enough. I've said it enough. And this is the most ridiculous thing. And you know why they're doing it. They're doing it to drive you crazy. They're doing it to drive you crazy. And that's why President Trump should invite Bad Bunny to the White House. Say, Bad, have a seat. Bad Bunny, you're terrific. Here's the Medal of Freedom, and make a joke out of him. Make a joke and have all these people, have him appear before Congress, you know. And just sit there and say, this is and have people, and have you asked Trump, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Are you serious? Are you kidding? Do you mean this? Yes, I mean this. Anyway, Robert in New Jersey. Robert, you're next, buddy boy.
How you doing, Lionel?
Good, sir.
Yes, that's exactly what I think. They pull in Trump on Republicans. It's like, Trump is there making Democrats crazy, so they do the same thing.
Could not have said it better myself, sir. Thank you. Larry in Long Island. Larry, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, I'm going to protest this Bad Bunny thing, and I want people to follow me. Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to watch the Super Bowl. That's right. We are going to watch reruns of Gomer Pyle. We're going to watch episodes when he is with Bunny, the good Bunny.
Oh.
And we're going to have the time of
Miss
our
Bunny.
lives.
What was her name? Barbara. She was a very accomplished Miss Bunny. Not Bunny Helper. Remember, it's Luann Poovey. Well, I declare. And Bunny was this. I remember when Bunny was this kind of like this tough broad, you know, this kind of and then Sergeant Carter, Vince, who I think he was in the Korean War, Frank Sutton, he would like neck in the car. And that old, remember Vince's car? That Mercury or something with the fins. Anyway, what am I talking about? Now, let's talk about something more. Conversion therapy. Conversion therapy, ladies and gentlemen. Conversion therapy. Have you followed that? Is there anybody who knows about conversion therapy? I have been a fan of this. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, before I forget, I was going to mention this. I love everything they say that is wrong with Wegovy and Ozempic. And oh my God, when will this stop? When? I mean, how is this on the market? Just saying, my friends. But anyway, I want to talk about conversion therapy. And conversion therapy is a big, big deal. A very, very big deal. And the reason why is very simple. This is the court's 6-3 conservative majority appeared to oppose a certain state legislation. Are you familiar with this thing called conversion therapy? That refers to counseling or practices that attempt to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. Did you hear what I said? It has to do with that. which is a very, very interesting thing. Conversion therapy and the Supreme Court. Now, before you get into it, before you jump into it, you got to ask yourself this question. How does this thing actually work? How does this work, and what's the story? You see, here's what's happening. A majority of the Supreme Court signaled Tuesday that it is prepared to rule against Colorado's ban on conversion therapy. It's a very, very interesting concept, and it goes something like this. This is it's ban on conversion therapy for minors, with several justices indicating they sympathize with a licensed counselor who says the law violates her First Amendment rights. So here's how it works. Conversion therapy refers to a counseling or form of counseling or practices or whatever that attempt to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. Listen carefully. The many medical, psychological, and human rights organizations classify it as harmful, discredited, and unethical. Now, do you hear what I said? I said to change someone's gender identity. Now, here's the story so far about how the U.S. Supreme Court got involved. The Supreme Court agreed to hear a case called Childs against Salazar, which challenges Colorado's law banning licensed mental health professionals from providing conversion therapy to minors. Kaylee Childs, who's the plaintiff, argues that the Colorado law infringes on her free speech and religious rights. That as a counselor, she should be allowed to carry out voluntary, faith-informed counseling. The ban in Colorado applies only to licensed professionals and to clients under the age of 18. It does not prohibit religious or non-licensed counseling, which is interesting. Lower courts in the District and the 10th Circuit have upheld the law, saying it regulates professional conduct in healthcare rather than purely speech. Well, the Supreme Court will now decide whether the law is a permissible regulation of professional conduct or whether it unlawfully censors speech because of viewpoint. Now, let me ask you question number one. Is a person's sexual identity, gay versus straight, make it very simple, subject to or susceptible to therapy, persuasion, counseling, or the like? Question number one. What do you think? Number two, is gender subject to persuasion, counseling, therapy, and the like? What if somebody comes to you, and we can argue whether they're under 18 or not 18 or whether you're licensed or whatever, it doesn't matter. But let's say somebody comes to you and says, I represent my child thinks she is a man or a boy, but she's a girl. I would like you to talk to her to bring her back to kind of what she was, to reorient her, to readjust, to recalibrate her. Would you have a problem with that? Again, your daughter or boy or whatever thinks she or he is the opposite sex. And you take that child to someone who says, no. You're a boy. You were born a boy. You have all the accoutrements of being a boy. Blah, 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 blah. Or somebody comes to you and they say, I want you to talk to my child. My child thinks he's gay. I don't think he's gay. Talk to my child. Okay. I'm a therapist. I'm going to talk you out of being a gay person. Should that be prohibited? Your ability, your election to talk people out of it. Now, in my humble opinion, I'm not an expert. I've never studied this, but I do not believe that sexual orientation is subject to belief. I don't think you can change somebody's opinion regarding what they believe. I do not believe that this in any way affects their, how do I say this? Their ability to, no. Doesn't work. Doesn't work like that. No. It doesn't work like that. I never thought of anybody. In fact, one time I talked to a friend of mine who was a priest years ago, and he believed that some of these people do not want to be gay. And I said, okay. I said, well, and then you can deal with somebody who does not want to be gay. I personally don't believe that somebody's actual sexual identity is subject to opinion or change of heart or change of mind. I don't think it works like that. I think you might think it does. So that's my question to you. Are you gay? That's my question. Let's get straight to the point. My first level of question, my questioneering. Are you gay? And is this an opinion? And can I change your opinion? Is your gayness, your homosexuality, your, as we used to call it, lesbianism, are those the subject of your opinion? Did you one day wake up like you did? I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. Is that the way that it works? Or is it something that is innate? Is it something that you have known your whole life? Is it something that somehow has been a part of your hard wiring since day one? Question number one. Number two, assuming it to be yes or no, should the law be able to tell somebody, no, you can't engage in this endeavor, even if it is a waste of time? So that's my number. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Whatever I ask sometimes, in fact, I love when we get the kind of the atypical callers. And there's always somebody you hear a lot of stuff, gay and these kids and the gays and the teachers and the gays. I'm not talking about that. That's a different subject. I think when it comes to children, it's a different consideration altogether. But I want to know about you, and I want you to do me a favor. You may not have ever done this before. You may say, I'm not going to call this. This guy's going to set me up. I'm not going to set you up. Now you're going to I want you to tell me about your sexuality. When you decided, when you elected, when you woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm going to be gay. I'm going to be gay. I'm going to give this a shot. That'll grease the skids. Life will be so much easier that way. My God, I'll have friends and I'll be accepted. And in the old days, when you look at the pre-Stonewall days, oh my God, the stories, the horrors, people have been surgically not just castrated, but a la Alan Turing. It was savagery, absolute savagery. Who in their right mind would go through that? Okay, so that's it. 800-848-9222. Now let me tell you something. I'm looking at the phones. Ready for this? Not one call. Nothing. Zero. Not one. You mean to tell me, out of the millions of people listening, millions, according to our records and data, you mean to tell me there's no gay people? Come on! That's statistically impossible. And I know it's I know. But I've never had a beef, so to speak. That's an interesting phraseology. Never had a beef with gay people. Never. Known them all my life. My wife, who has been in the music industry and Broadway, I never thought anything of it. Never. Never thought anything of it. Never thought of it as being contrary to anything. As far as you of course did not do something illicit in the name of that. I never got it. I never understood that. So that's my particular thing. And by the way, if you don't, listen, you probably don't trust me. I don't blame you because you're thinking, why would you trust me? We don't even know each other. Why would you do that? Why would you trust me? Because I'm telling you right now, you should trust me because I'm very, very rare at this. I'm an old soul, my friends. I'm an old soul who loves to talk about things and issues that frankly nobody talks about. Because I've never thought that when it comes to the notion of sexuality, that we ever talk enough about it. Next thing I want to discuss with you, by the way, in addition to all of the foregoing, and by the way, it's okay. It's okay. But, and I know you're out there, and I know it's a tough thing. But I would always hope that if ever you have a child, there's nothing worse than having a child who has to run away from home or is closeted, or parents who say, we disown you. We knew this one case years and years ago. My wife and I, she knew him. I didn't know him that well. Where his father said, I'm going to beat it out of you. And it's horrible. And it turns out this was a nice, you would say a lovely person. And when you say that, I'm not trying to be coy or cute about that, but there was nothing wrong with this person. Very, very nice. Very cordial. Very nice. And and I heard this story, I'm thinking, your father did that to you? Beat you? Yes. That I'm going to straighten you out. And sometimes people didn't know what to do in the old days. They didn't know what to do. Sometimes fathers were scared. They thought, I'm going to try to help and convert my child. You can't do that. You have to love your child. You have to do it. Period. Let's go to John in Reno. John, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey there, Lionel.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm Catholic and the Pope says no. The Baptists and the Pentecostals say no to the transgender lifestyle. The Lutherans, the Episcopals, and the Church of Christ all allow it. We need to let each parent decide for their kids what they're going to do, and we have to coexist. I'm not going to change, and the Lutherans and the Episcopals aren't going to change. Each parent's got to be able to decide for their kid until that kid's 18.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily even about transgender. This is about being gay. Just gay.
Oh, I agree. Same thing with gay. Each parent should decide for their kid, and once the kid's 18 or the kid gets emancipated, the kid can then do what they want.
But here's the question. If a licensed counselor wants to try to counsel someone out of the gay lifestyle, whatever that is, which I think is a waste of time. But anyway, that's my opinion. Shouldn't the person be able to do that? Shouldn't that be?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely. Because the reason is that is their free speech. And that is their ability to, look, talk therapy may work. It may be something that you may disagree with. The number of therapists I've heard of and know about who used to try to tell kids, you were molested as a young child. You have repressed victim syndrome. That stuff should have been illegal. That ruined more lives than you can imagine. And I saw it firsthand. It's nuts. Rich in New Jersey. Rich. Maybe not. Anyway. I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? Let's take a bit of a brief respite. This is Lionel with you on the other side of midnight. Number one, can you convert in terms of your sexuality? Can somebody talk you out of what you naturally, theoretically believe? And, this is important, and this is critical, and are you able to look at the situation from the viewpoint of a therapist who might be saying, this is very interesting because I would like to apply a particular type of therapy which mother and father and child agree with, but under Colorado law, I can't because they say that is dangerous. And the therapist says under the Supreme Court case, no, this is my First Amendment right. And the Supreme Court said, no, this is, or the argument is that, no, this isn't First Amendment. This is a free speech. This is trying to regulate a dangerous behavior. So let's go to Rich in New Jersey. Rich, You're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel, back again. All
back
I know when I was a
again.
kid.
What does that mean,
before-
back? What does it
well,
mean, back?
I told the
What does
other
that
day-
mean? Hang on a minute. What do you mean, back again? What does that mean?
Me again, rather. Me again.
Me
I'm
again when? From what? When last time?
sorry. The other day I called you. I used to go by Dick. You call me
Okay,
Dick, so then you call me Rick. Okay. Before I can get my hands on a Playboy, I discovered National Geographic. Okay? Now,
Do you know
I went
how
out with a
old this routine is, by the way? Seriously.
no, I mean, it's what I experienced.
Okay.
How come you can look at women who happen to be not white, but you can't get your hands on a Playboy, and that's somehow wrong?
Now, do you know, this is, again, in the annals of comedy or attempted comedy.
No, I'm not being funny. I'm not being
that's
funny.
exactly my point. You're not being funny because there is this idea, we've always referred to National Geographic. And I'm interested that you bring that up because, first of all, out of all of the editions, the actual number that had naked natives was like next to none. But yet
Somehow I found them.
But yet people refer in the back of their mind, they say, I remember this veritable bevy, this seemingly endless edition after edition of islanders, and never happened. It's something that we say happened, but the point, I guess, maybe if you want to go down that line and destroying the notion of my argument and the very serious platform of which I presented this, is I'm not going to do that. It's just stupid. The thing about it is, what do we do? You see, again, I want to say this. We, and I will include myself, we in this world of right and wrong, good Christian, black and white, right and wrong, good versus evil, apodictic, Manichaean, flag, none of this leftist, sick, depraved, whatever. We believe there are some things that are just normal and some things that are not. And as I've told you, my interest has always been in what is behavioral and why do you do what you do? And how do people truly know anything? That's why I've always said you cannot tell a child about two things. Remember, gender and sexuality. Gender, sexuality, two completely different things. One is you can say, I am a man, I am a girl, I am female, I am male. This is what I am. This is what I am. I am, okay, fine. The gender part is one thing. The other aspect, which is critical, the other aspect is simply this. You have a preference within the confines and the constructs of your gender. You have a preference, and that preference is for a particular type of sameness. So, for example, if a man is attracted to men, we would call them, prototypically, historically, gay, a gay man, homosexual. If a woman was sexually attracted to a woman, she was a lesbian, sapphic, one of my favorite definitions, right? If a man born male with the accoutrement of maleness, if he thinks he is a woman, believes he is a woman, if his gender identity is that of a woman, and that gender-identified woman, born a man, finds a woman attractive, would he therefore be a lesbian? Now, I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying to joke about this. I am dead serious. I am dead serious. Because what people have to kind of grasp in all this stuff, so to speak, and this is important, is that if your identity matters first, then what you do must be through the eyes of that identity. Caitlyn Jenner, that was the biggest flop ever. Remember, interesting pun there, but biggest flop. Caitlyn Jenner, oh boy, And we knew this for years. For years. Everybody knew that Caitlyn or Bruce or whatever was transitioning. But when you brought it up, they go, oh, that's impossible. He was the box of Wheaties. But we knew it. We saw it. But now Caitlyn has all of the exterior morphology and physiognomy and, secondary sexual characteristics of a woman, but I believe is genetically or genitally intact. I don't believe there's been an orchiectomy or a penectomy or anything along those lines. I hear that Caitlyn is attracted to women. Now, again, is that because Caitlyn is a lesbian? Or Caitlyn really is still a man finding women attractive? And we'll just leave it at that. But it makes you say, Hour number 4 coming up on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Mr. Comey will be found not guilty of his alleged perjury charge. Did anybody tell you that? Have you heard anybody explain to you about the charges? I know we had the perp walk. Everybody would see the perp walk. Anybody tell you that? Of course not. He's not guilty. It was the worst charge ever. I don't know who this prosecutor is from the Eastern District. I have no idea. I know there were some problems initially. I'm kind of guessing. I don't want that to be because I want that rat to be packed away in the hoosgow forever. But I will tell you that there is something very, very scary about this. People are not telling you the truth. They are not telling you the truth. They are not telling you the reality of what's going on. And I'm going to say this to you before we get back to this issue because I want you to hear this. Now, I don't like him. And I know you don't like him either. But I got to tell you a couple of things here, once and for all. First, do not use the word treason. He is ever going to be charged with treason. It's not going to be done. Don't use the term. I don't know why people just think treason is this word like they do communist or Marxist. They just use the word treason. He's committing treason. That might mean something real bad to you. Like, he did something real bad. I think it's treasonous. It's not treason. Treason is a term of art. Treason is giving aid and cover to the enemy. Treason is something far more horrible than anything you can imagine. Treason is very, it's not to be taken lightly. This is not, you're not giving aid and comfort to the enemy. You're not waging war against the country. You're not doing any of that. Stop using the word treason. It makes you look ignorant. And I don't want you to look ignorant, but people do this all the time because they figure, well, I can say whatever I want. It's just a term. No, it's not. It's a term of art. That's like saying he has cancer. What? You mean infection? Yeah, same thing. No, it's not the same thing. One's the death penalty. No, I mean treason. No. The same thing with sedition. It's sedition. They should charge him. And you got that, Adam Schiff, and you charge him with sedition. Why? I don't know. What's sedition? There's seditious conspiracy, but what is sedition? I don't know. And Mamdani's a communist. What's a communist? He's a thing with the left. I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. You see what's going on? You see what happens? You see what happens? Do you see what all... You can't use these terms. Let me tell you something about this Comey, and I want you to listen carefully. He is alleged to have lied about, okay, the following. He was believed to have been responsible for authorizing a leak to the Wall Street Journal with Andy McCabe, okay? That he authorized McCabe to leak this information. And the underlying crime itself is so vague. It's hard to, does it matter? because they were trying to show the consternation that was met when Hillary Clinton. Stop it. The point is, he is believed, number one, that the truth is that he indeed authorized this leak. He authorized McCabe to issue this leak, to leak this information to the Wall Street Journal. Okay. So later on in Congress, he was asked, did you authorize this? He said, no. And then Ted Cruz really botched it up. I mean, just botched. I don't even know where he got this from. And of course, he's a genius. He's a genius. And he said this nonsense. So he's charged with perjury and also obstruction of justice based upon a derivative matter of that original perjury. So they kind of are kind of connected. Now, I know this bothers people. And I know you don't want things to be true. But it's true. If you're going to charge him with something, charge him with the right thing. Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, laid it out. He said, McCabe said, I authorized it. Comey found out about it afterwards. He might have, approved it or said okay or not objected, but that's not the same as authorizing. Now, this may seem like trivial things to a lot of people. They may want to still charge him with treason. And it's not fair the way Roger Stone gets the 4 a.m. perp walk with CNN watching, but Comey doesn't. Where's Comey's mugshot? Why wasn't Comey walked in the front? Why wasn't he sent through the same ignominy, the same embarrassment that President Trump was? That's not fair. That's a separate issue. That's a good point. That's a separate issue. And a lot of times we'll say, you know what, who cares? Screw it. Doesn't matter. I don't think like that. I don't think like that. This doesn't make sense to me. I believe in the Constitution of everybody. And I'm not ever going to let somebody violate the Constitution because it happens to be a bad guy, somebody that we don't like. Doesn't work like that. Especially for the same people who are yelling against lawfare. If you're against lawfare, it should apply now as well. Okay? You got what I'm saying? George in Brooklyn. George, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. It's Drew. Hi, how are you?
How are you, George?
Good to hear from you. Okay, you were asking, I just got in about half an hour ago before you were talking about some the gay issues.
Now, hang on a second. Wait a minute. I got to ask this question. You're just getting in now?
Sure.
What kind of a lifestyle do you live, my friend? You're getting in now?
Yeah, boring. Yeah, I was, doing some outreach for some homeless people.
Good for you.
In Bay Ridge.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, the question was simply this. The question was this.
The churches, synagogues, and the mosques, they don't care about doing any outreach at all. It seems to be Bay Ridge, they think sidewalks roll up after 5 o'clock,
George, you're doing God's work.
Action for the homeless people are at night.
George,
it's
I'm
horrible.
Impressed with you. You're doing God's work. Now, here's the issue.
I'm trying.
The Supreme Court is dealing with the issue. The Supreme Court is dealing with an issue called conversion therapy. And conversion therapy is the idea that you can take somebody who is gay or somebody perhaps who might be gender either fluid or whatever, and you can actually, by virtue of having talk therapy, you can convert them to either change their sexuality or change their gender. Right, wrong, or indifferent, doesn't matter. There's a Colorado law. Let me finish. There's a Colorado law that's giving people the background. A Colorado law prohibits this particular type of therapy because they believe it's abusive. Now, I said in order for you to do that, you must ask the question, is gayness, is sexuality subject to opinion? That's where you come in. George, when did you agree or decide to be gay?
When I think, nobody calls it gay when you're looking at other guys or looking at pictures of Greek statues when I was in high school, when I was in 6th grade. I was just looking, I'm being Greek background myself. I was looking at all these Greek statues and paintings and, Roman statues, how beautiful they were. And, you want to be aspired, you want to be, you'd like to look like them someday, right?
That doesn't make you gay.
Right. But, after a while, it got more and more. And
How old were you?
Interested in guys. Oh, in the 6th grade? How old would I be?
11?
11?
Right.
I think so, yeah.
Now,
in Brooklyn.
Now, my question is, and this is important. Have you ever met, I'm sure you've met other gay people in your life, and maybe you probably know more than most people. Have you ever, and be honest, swear to tell the truth, have you ever met any gay person, whoever told you, George, did I ever tell you about the time I elected to be gay? It's like I became a registered Democrat, or I joined the Kiwanis Club, or I became gay. Have you ever heard of anybody who chose their sexuality?
No, ever? I haven't. No, but, there've been word back in the 70s, and people would like to try it for peer pressure. But who would be crazy enough to open up to being gay, to have people who were iffy about being gay? People experimented, and some people just stayed in the closet. So if they knew they were gay, they would suffer all these decades, right?
When did you come out?
So I came out to my folks back in 1970.
What was that like?
So I was 18 years old.
What was that like?
I told my mom, and she told my father, and Mom was very, she looked at you trying to process.
Right.
Say, is this really my son doing this? Telling me this? And my father gave me the silent movement. He was just, shocked, but didn't say anything about this thing for a while. But didn't mean they disowned me. Of course, nothing had changed since then.
Did they ever accept it?
Because, yeah, of course, it took a while. My sister too.
Did they accept it?
And it was not right away.
But did they ultimately accept it? Did they ultimately accept it?
Oh, that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah, they accepted it. Yes. Yeah. After not decades, many years. We're talking about the 70s.
Right.
Right. And this is before the AIDS crisis. And then people would say, why do you want to be still gay at that age? The age of AIDS during that time. So
what was that
like?
Like?
Telling me, what was that? I heard people saying, if I ever get out of the hospital, if I had a cure, I'm going to go straight. I had a few people say that, because to them, their life was disastrous.
I'm going to ask you a question. Why not just say, if I ever get out of this, I'm just not going to engage in that behavior. I'm going to be gay,
right?
But I'm going to be abstemious.
What's that mean, abstemious?
I'm abstemious. I'm going to abstain. I'm not going to have sex. I'll be gay. I just won't have sex.
Well, they don't want to be lonely, No.
I appreciate that. Let me see if I can explain this. And I thank you for your candor. I cannot imagine what that must have been like during the height of AIDS, when people were dying, first of all, mysteriously, nobody knew. Just the wasting disease, just disintegrating, disappearing, with the Kaposi sarcoma and the sores and that look of like that. They look like prisoners of war, like in their death camp. I can't imagine what that was like. I can't imagine. And then, and people may have had their suspicions at first. And by the way, that patient zero stuff is balderdash. They disproved that years ago. It was a very convenient story, the flight attendant and all that. But what was that like? And then during that particular time, people said, aha, this is God's anger. This is God's wrath. You're sinning. This is an abomination. You're sick. You're right. This is an abomination. An abomination is the problem with that, ultimately, as you can imagine, came, fair enough, but maybe it was an abomination. I don't know. But that didn't help anything. I remember during the time of remember during the, what was it, 89? I don't know what it was. It was a World Series. And there was an earthquake in San Francisco right during the World Series. And all of a sudden it was Al Michael, and I believe it was on the air, and the cameras went out and the screen went black, and it was an earthquake. And people said, aha, it was God. They actually said this. God was paying you back for AIDS. No, I said, wait a minute. Or for gayness, rather. God is going after San Francisco That's the only gay place? Or what about Key West? There's no earthquakes there. Why San Francisco? And I'm sure if you went to God and said, God, can I ask you a question? Did you have any problem with gays? And God would say, no, I told you for the longest time, don't build houses there. But you did, on hills. I'm going to continue with this after I remind you that this is Lionel, and this is the other side of midnight. My friends, I think one of the greatest topics, I swear to God, has always been that of sexuality. Not the way people talk about it, because it's always childish and guttural, but how it defines you, and how do I say this? The role of religion and God, going back to what I was saying, at the time I'll never forget this, at the time of the World Series during the earthquake, somebody suggested that this was God's wrath. And I think if I could sit there and if I could say, God, what would be the main thing you would tell? If I could send back a message to people on earth, what would be your main refrain? You'd probably say, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Why do you say I said that? How do you know I said that? Why would I do that? Well, Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you know why? Do you know what the reason was? What enraged God more than anything? What do you think it was? What do you think it was? Anybody ever researched this? First time I read this, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I had assumed that God said, look, you better stop this. I'm going to pry you apart with crowbars. Stop doing this. Adam and Eve and Adam and Steve, stop it. Stop doing it. All right, I've had enough. Lot's wife, not sure about that one. The pillar of salt, she became the Morton salt emblem. And then later on they said, all right, I'm going to fix you. Okay. And so what happened was, apparently when the angels that came who visited with Lot, there were people outside who were saying, bring them out so that we can know them. No, in the biblical no. Which is really weird. Talk about happens. Hey, Lot, yeah. See, you got a couple of strangers. It's kind of like a deliverance scene. Yeah, you got a nice mouth. Why don't you bring them out? Let's see what you got there. And apparently God was so infuriated by this is the way you treat a guest, somebody who's seeking, because a guest, you are to protect the guest. Anyway, it was the wildest thing I've ever read. Please look it up, because the whole story was completely forgotten in any of it. But I always thought to myself, God probably says, now listen, do me a favor. I want you to know something. I have this thing called tectonic plates, okay? I don't know why. Just one of those things. And I got this place called San Francisco. Well, you're going to call it that, but that's what it's called right now. And really, don't build on top of it. In fact, what I did was, I made it real hilly so that nobody in their right mind would build a house on top of this or a building. Don't do it. Because it has earthquakes, and just don't do it. Go to Montana. Very flat. Wyoming. No earthquakes. Have a nice day there. Do that. But no, we decide to build in this earthquake center, and then we blame God. It's God's wrath. It's God. God said, I had nothing to do with it. The same way people in Florida will have houses on the beach, right on the coast, and the Gulf. And when the hurricanes come, it destroys the property. And they say, we prayed for God. And God says, what is with you people? This is where the hurricanes come. Why'd you build there? God, no, we're going to pray to you to divert the... I'm not going to move hurricanes. Why did you move there? Because it's so pretty. Move someplace else. They don't have it on the left coast. They've got fires over there, which is another story. Another story. In any event, I just all my life I've been hearing things about God, blaming God for this, blaming God for that. And I'm not necessarily one who's even spiritual, but I'm always defending God. David in Minnesota. David, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Hey, Lionel. Love your show.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. You're funny, in fact. My wife, during the old George Floyd thing out near Minneapolis, would always ask people, "Are you gay?" on the bike trail. It's like, uh-oh.
Wait a minute.
Don't do
Explain
that.
that to me again. Hold it. Who asked who? Are you gay? I missed it.
Yeah, she would ask people, "Are you gay?"
Why did she do that?
She's an old biker lady.
Okay, she's a biker lady. You mean like a bike, bicycle, or motorcycle?
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle.
Valley rider.
And
that was the hell thing that I've talked to you a few times.
Okay, oh, yeah, okay. And she would go up to strangers and say, "Are you gay?"
Yeah.
Why?
You just say that to them. I don't know.
Did you ever ask
we
her?
had a neighbor that was black, transgender, gay, and she was really nice. She'd come over and she'd do cocaine and ecstasy with us. We'd have fun. So,
okay, but why did
you
your
never say it to her?
Okay, why did your wife? I'm curious. Did you ever ask your wife, "Honey, why do you ask that question?"
I questioned her once or twice, and she just really didn't have a good answer.
Okay.
She's a hardcore drunk.
All righty. There we go. That's a good story. Now, and thank you so much. For some reason, that story did not compel me. But I got to tell you this one before I forget. This is very, very critical. Have you, and I can also tell, by the way, remember I told you this initially. I said I ask people questions, and it tells me a little bit about where they're from and what they believe in and what they know. And I asked people, I said, have you ever had any questions about where fires come from? You know, fires like the Palisades fire, the Northern California fire, this fire, that fire, the Hawaiian fires. And if you say no, then I say, how about those Yankees? Because I just changed the subject because you don't know what's going on here. But anybody who has spent any amount of time looking at any of the fires, any of what has happened, you cannot possibly, like Lahaina, you cannot help but say what's going on. So anyway, there's this guy named Jonathan Rinderknecht. Did you hear this one? The Palisades fire has finally been declared resolved. Well, there you go. With a 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht charged as the supposed lone arsonist who sparked one of the most devastating infernos in California history. And authorities say he acted alone, describing him as a transient with a record of instability. A convenient narrative that, of course, tidily ties up a disaster that killed dozens and leveled entire neighborhoods. State officials have closed ranks. The media have moved on, and the public is expected to accept the story. But many aren't. And by the by, do you know that when they did a lot of the research, 30 past the hour, I don't know if I said that, but when they did the research to link him to this, they went to his ChatGPT. So remember, when you do ChatGPT, when you think there's some big deal involving ChatGPT, and that's just a kind of a unique, and a research tool, don't forget they can go after you. Not after you, but they can use that as a basis of what's going on. So anyway, so here is a story. So this, many people, independent researchers, myself and others have said, you know what? This case is a little too neat, too quick, and too perfectly timed to serve political and various interests. Now, let me see if I can go back and explain this to you. This is so hard to explain, but I'll try my best. It was suspected that so much was done incoherently, so much was done negligently, so many incomprehensibly ill-equipped people. Remember this rather, I don't want to keep talking about size, but there was this lesbian, a woman, who said, well, let me tell you something. If grandpa falls down or whatever, don't expect me to pick him up because that's not my job or something like that. And you kept seeing, who are these people? They sent fire equipment to Ukraine. The reservoirs were shut down. It was as though somebody was trying to prevent or to interrupt the ability for people to fight fires. Well, a while back, Marjorie Taylor Greene, remember her? MTG? Marjorie Taylor Greene is about to break away from the pack, so to speak. She once raised questions about unusual reports surrounding the California wildfires. And she was referencing witness accounts of unexplained lights that people saw in the sky. Blue lights and green lights, and residents shared very disturbing accounts that don't fit the official explanation. Some people said repeatedly that they saw flashes or strange blue lights in the sky just before fires ignited. Others described entire blocks that were reduced to, in essence, ash, while one or two homes remained mysteriously untouched, sometimes marked with, ready for this, blue roofing materials. When former President Joe Biden made an offhand remark about blue roofs and fire zones, he meant, his aide said, as a reference to FEMA tarps. But it only deepened the suspicion that certain properties were somehow protected. And when you find out what was being protected, what was looked at years ago, there was, of course, the 15-minute cities, where everything that you were going to have, every city was going to be modularly built, no outside, no 2-3 acre places, no, moving in urban, and these new kind of Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 habitats where people are stacked up, and they wanted people to leave these other areas. They were also in the LA area talking about preparing for not only FIFA, but the Olympics, and that they wanted these people out. And there were all these talks, and Oprah coming in and buying property, same thing in Lahaina. We never heard anything about that. Never heard anything about that. Well, people kept talking about blue lights. Now, as you know, when you mention things like that, there are some people who have very interesting, informed, and fecund, fertile imagination. They tend to ask questions based upon what they believe and what they want and what what they're kind of looking at. And for the longest time, there is a group of people who have toyed with the idea of direct or directed energy weapons. The idea of either satellite-based or somehow some platform-based lasers or lights or something that can ignite a particular area with such precision that you could almost, for example, if there's a house that is surrounded by trees, you can target the house and, how do I say this? Target the house and leave the trees. Does that make any sense? Okay. Now, I'm not saying any of this is true. I don't know enough about this. But where I'm from, when a bunch of people say something, you say, well, let's investigate it. And then you wait. And you know it's true, or you know there's something to it when people will object to you bringing it up in the first place. So Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned this. She mentioned the observations made by people that you've never met, stories you've never heard of, websites you've never read, platforms you've never been introduced to, scores of people. The whole DEW, direct or directed energy weapons crew, has attributed them to everything from 9/11 to whatever it is. I am not an expert on it. I am merely telling you what I hear. Just like when you tell me that there is a religious site where people go to seek, let's say, cures, whether it's Lourdes or whether it was some type of some religious icon, I will tell you this is what people are saying. I'm not ascribing to. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. How do I know? See, what I do is I just tell you this is what happens. This is what people are saying. So anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene said this. Now, she might have also said something that this is because of globalism. She might have said this is because of the Rothschilds, the globalist people who are responsible for this, the Rockefellers, the Bill Gateses, those people who are involved in all of these efforts to move everybody into cities, stack them up, almost as this kind of a modular, almost a self-imposed, like a quasi-urban prisonscape consistent with Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, UN protocols that nobody's ever read or heard of. When Marjorie Taylor Greene said that, somebody heard Rothschild and said, aha, you are an anti-Semite. And the term, by the way, has been used so much by so many people. I'm sorry to say, and sadly, I think it's had the effect of neutralizing the sting of the word, because everybody is called an anti-Semite for a variety of reasons, other than behavior that is clearly anti-Semitic. Let's go to Ron in Michigan. Ron, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel. Ron.
Hello.
Yes, Ron.
Good morning, Lionel. Lionel, I have no proof of this, but it's a theory that I have.
A hypothesis.
Russia is carrying out sabotage campaigns in Europe. Whatever.
How do you know
lines.
that? Give me an example.
It's the infrastructure of the air traffic control. They're interfering with that in Europe. They're causing problems in the waterways and the fjords of Norway and stuff like that. NATO countries. But I
have not heard that, but that's interesting. I will investigate that. Go ahead, sir.
That's reported in the New York Times. But
oh well,
my theory.
Say no more, sir.
My hypothesis is that Russia is sending in Sputniks to the United States, and
what's a
Sputnik? Sputniks are Russian special forces. Okay, they carry out sabotage, assassinations there, appointment and attacks in Ukraine, stuff like that. But I contend that they're, and probably the Chinese too, because they can blend in with
the Chinese.
Pardon?
You say probably the Chinese. Why would the Chinese do
communists?
This?
Also, they're in a campaign of sabotage and destruction in the United States.
You guessed.
I said this earlier when they crashed that big boat into the bridge in Maryland. I contend that was a Chinese sabotage action. It was a Chinese boat and crew. You'll never prove it. They're already out of the country. But they aimed that boat to destroy.
So let me get this straight, just for a second. So the Russia sends its Spetsnaz, its I guess special forces. They're sending its Spetsnaz to cause the fires in.
Yes.
How do they do that?
In the West Coast. Just by going in there, posing as campers, posing as tourists, whatever. And like I said, their ethnicity can blend in with
so
Americans.
They pose as campers and they light fires.
Right.
And you think,
just like you said, that the Ukraine fire equipment is being shipped to Ukraine, so they already know they have a reason to attack.
Do you believe?
Because we are.
Hang on a minute.
Yes,
do you believe? Let me see if I can. Do you believe that the amount of fires, the frequency of the fires, the directions of the fires, the intensity, and the way they seem to almost start spontaneously, this was because of Russian campers, people hiding out with their like arsonists in the woods and in the whatever it is, setting up little fires.
Just enough to, because we're already tinder box dry. Of course, there's no greenhouse effect, but there's been no rain for decades. And they go in there and they especially want to start the fires close to populated areas.
How many teams do you think of Spetsnaz forces do you think would be responsible? That's a lot of people. You just don't start a fire here and go home. You got to do thousands of them.
They got to be traveling. They have to be traveling by car, train, plane, undercover, of course. Like I said, they've been embedded in the United States for decades.
How do you know that?
Well, just by going with TV shows that are based on facts.
TV shows?
I didn't watch. A series. There was a series where they had Russians who came to this country and they were embedded. They worked. They went to school. Their children went to school here.
Right.
But they were Russian agents all along. All right. Okay. And they have a love for their country, and they're working for their country in the capacity they think is right. So like when people see these sports, of course, they're not going to be dressed in uniforms. They're going to be dressed like American campers, citizens, plain and simple. They know the situation, the layout, how people dress.
Do you not think that if I were, let's say, Vladimir Putin, or I was in charge of their FSB or the Spetsnaz or whoever it was, that I would say, this may be okay, but first of all, this is too sloppy and it's not directional enough. We need to, this is not, this is okay, but this is too iffy. We need to have this, especially when you see the ferocity, how quickly it starts. You see, one of the things which is interesting is that they have this idea, Ron, about how people have this idea that it is so dry, and the Santa Ana winds are so strong, and they create this idea that once this spark starts, the next thing you know, it just spreads like wildfire. And you also have to know that there was a move on the part of Karen Bass, on the L.A. mayor, and other people to get rid of fire equipment, to downsize and DEI and completely underman, no pun intended, fire forces, to fill them with incompetent transgenders and lesbian women who really might know what they're doing, but really aren't the best equipped for this. Anybody who was assigned by virtue of their gender versus their firefighting, and all of these other concomitant factors as well. And what about the lights? You think there's anything to the fact of directed energy weapons or anything along those lines?
I haven't given that very much thought at all, but because I'm just not into it.
I will tell you something, which is, and by the by, let me just say something right now. I am not in any wise, sir, discounting what you're saying. The boat story that knocked down this very critical span of Baltimore just went away, didn't it? We just never heard anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's another thing, Lionel, I say as far as sabotage domestically. A lot of these train accidents, of course, they've slowed down now, but these train accidents, especially in the East Coast, I contend that, of course, we know the tracks are old and should have been replaced 50, 100 years ago. But they again take advantage because, like I said, they've worked in this country. They've worked as engineers. They worked as trainmen. They worked as tradesmen. I'll say, and they know that the critical points. They've ridden railroads. Maybe they've even driven the trains themselves, and they know the critical points where if we sabotage this bend in this road, this will knock out this rail line for 6 months, a year, 2 years, which will cause congestion in this area, and then back up in this area, cause people in the United States to be pissed off about the government situation, saying, oh, this Biden is not building our roads, he's not building our railroads. And they take all this into account, I believe. Again, the Russians, the Chinese have long-term goals.
You know, it's very, very interesting. I was just looking at this and reviewing this, and I'm fascinated. Remember, on March 26th of last year, the MV Dali, a Singapore-flagged container ship, about 950 feet, struck the supporting pier of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore after losing propulsion. You saw what happened to the central spans. Investigators found that the dolly experienced multiple power blackouts in the hours before the event, and nothing really. By the way, controlled explosives were used to demolish the portions, and blah blah blah. The bottom line is, nothing really happened. The ship is back in operation. By the way.
Yeah, and here's one final point.
Certainly,
if I may, before I lost in my brain. Here they struck the bridge, and here a couple of months prior to the striking of the bridge, the Chinese head of their military said, "We have plans to strike at the United States, and in retaliation for some trade deal or something that Trump put in there, I believe." Again, I'm a little fuzzy. I think maybe Biden was the president, I think, when the bridge crashed. But they struck that bridge as a historic significance, okay? Again, to shove it into the Americans' face. They struck the 1812 bridge, which was part of our history, our glorious history, fighting for independence. So in other words, they're saying, in your face, United States, will smash you. We'll smash your infrastructure,
Ron,
and you're not going to do anything about it.
Ron, I've got to tell you something. I really appreciate your the way you think. I like the way you give there's a lot of food for thought here. I'm sure you've told friends of yours this. Have you ever had friends of yours who say, "Oh, Ron, you're just crazy. You just think this crazy stuff." But it's really not that crazy, is it? It's not.
Yes, but the thing of it is, 6 months, a year later, when this thing comes to fruition or some proof comes out, I feel vindicated, okay? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to millions of people, okay? I know that. And I go on other radio stations, left-wing radio stations, and I put this point out, too. And what can I tell you? It's my point of view.
What is their reaction?
They're a little skeptical, but again, they say, "Hey, you're kind of right." It's like I said before Trump and Pete had their meeting with the generals. I said it didn't exactly happen as I said it, but I said they're going to have a meeting, and I said even the beginning when they first called that meeting before Trump even announced, I said Trump is going to be there because it's his show, but again, my brain's clouded here.
Ron, let me tell you something. For your brain being cloudy, it's pretty damn clear to me, and I thank you, sir. And I want you to call me again.
You're welcome.
I like the way you think,
welcome.
Ron.
You're more than welcome.
You are most fascinating, sir. Listen to what the man says. The first reaction people have is, I like to say, you know what? You always have to ask, what is the practicality of this? How would it work? But it doesn't really matter. That kind of thinking we need more of. The stuff that's going to kill us is complacency. Remember something. That the worst thing in the world is to not have a fertile imagination. The word is fecundity. To be fecund, F-E-C-U-D, to be fertile, to have your mind just go off into just ranges of colors and angles and to ask yourself, is there something behind this story? I got to tell you something. We are the luckiest country in the world for many reasons. One, we have never really had inner strife, we had one civil war. We've never had really invasions. We've been suspect of what am I trying to say? Kind of a shadow government, but we've never really. Now, other countries who have been subject to treachery and invasion and civil wars and upheavals, they're very good and they have a much better eye for this. They're very suspect. It's like having a doctor. And when a doctor has a lot of experience, he gets to be very suspicious. And when he gets very suspicious, sometimes the doctor gets a little paranoid. And just because you're paranoid doesn't mean nobody's after you. So I hear these people and I say, this is fantastic. This is some of the best thinking ever. I don't know where it was for me, but I never forget And I will tell you this, and ask yourself this. When I was a kid, and I saw and remember when I could barely understand, everything was magnified to me, Kennedy's assassination, that set me going. And I realized, just because people act like they're in charge doesn't mean they're in charge. And the people who really run the show are people whose names you're never going to know. And sometimes we live in a world of Potemkin villages, little sound sets, sets or whatever you call it, movie sets where it sounds terrific. And look, there's the Capitol. Oh, there's President Trump. Oh, there's the Washington Monument. They're running the show. There's the FBI. There's Kash Patel. All is well, right? All is well. Not even close. Not even close. Remember the story about the Chinese weather balloons? Supposedly. Now, I heard two stories. One was they said those were the Chinese. Remember we had to send a F whatever after them to blow them out of the sky? These big, huge balloons traversing. How dare this? One school of thought said, that really was a weather balloon that got loose because China's been watching us through satellites forever. It doesn't need weather balloons. That's one hypothesis. The other one is that this was meant just to embarrass us. Of course, it didn't mean anything, but it's to show you that if we wanted to, we could do this. And the third hypothesis is that, it was deliberately. It was a deliberate monitoring device, these two weather balloons. And then you ask yourself, what could they have possibly learned from a weather balloon that we're blowing up? I don't know. But the point is, don't lose your imagination. Don't lose your suspicion. When you see something fly across the sky, don't necessarily think it's a UFO or some UAP or whatever it is, but ask yourself, don't think it's swamp gas or the planet Venus no. Balance it. Keep your mind open. Yes, this could be a critter in a craft from another planet or dimension, or it could be something else. Balance the two. Don't ever lose your ability to wonder. Don't ever lose your suspicion. You got it? It's critical. All right, my friends, what a night. Mr. Blaze, thank you so much. And Mr. Atwood, thank you for your incredible attention to detail. And thank you so much for being the best doggone audience anybody could ask for. Don't forget, follow me on X at Lionel Media. And until we meet each other again, remember the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.